Okay. All right. Eureka! Success! Greetings, family. This is Cassandra-Floyd, also known as the Daughter of the Fates, founder of the Temple of Evolutionary Emergence. And I was supposed to be doing a live last night, but I had some serious technical difficulties. I mean, serious. It took me like 3 hours to work that shit out. I don't think I was done with that BS till like 1 o'clock in the morning. So, and then I still had to be up early because I got jewelry orders I'm struggling to get out by tomorrow. So, yes, I am here finally. I know it's been a hot minute. Um, as y'all know, many of you know, last week was an extraordinarily eventful week. Um, Greetings, everybody. Yes, last week was crazy eventful, Chad. Crazy eventful. Mostly good ways, but it was still a lot. And so I needed to take some time. I was interviewed by Mama T on her podcast on Friday. Then as soon as we got off that long podcast, because we was up on that joint for about 3 hours, and that started late. I had to study because I had to deliver a lecture the following day, a workshop on embracing the path of the left. I don't know if you saw it, but if you didn't, you should check it out. I did live stream it. And it was the first time that I have done, that topic as a workshop, which I was, which I was really excited about because it gave me at least a framework that I can use in the future, like a skeletal structure for how I'm going to develop that as an actual like, what do you call it? What's the word? It's like a cohort. It's an actual cohort that I'm going to incorporate into the apprenticeship program that I'm developing right now. So I was really excited about, having an audience through which I could, let me make sure this, I could try it out on. And it's such a huge topic. And it's something that I've been working on developing for a long while. I think the first time that I took notes to start digging into this whole question of embracing the path of the left hand or embracing the path of the left was maybe 4 years ago, maybe. So I've been sitting on this shit for a minute. You feel me? So it was good. And I really liked, the fact that people were really curious. It took me, it was a struggle. I didn't think anybody was going to attend because it was at an event. It was at a wellness event where there were like 30 healers at the space doing services all over the place. There was like a line of maybe 50 people outside the room where I was delivering the workshop, and nobody was in my workshop. I was like, I told one of the organizers, I was like, you need to go outside and wrangle some people to come up in my workshop. Okay. So I ended up with I ended up with capacity. The room's capacity is 11 people. So it was dope. And that is something that I'm really excited about teaching as an actual cohort. So just to give you some idea of how I'm developing the apprenticeship is to do cohorts. Let me see. I can give y'all a brief overview of how I'm developing it because it's extensive. And let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, so y'all know me too by now. Those of you who have been tuning in for some period of time, y'all know me by now. I be highly ambitious. I'd be highly ambitious. But this is all that time I spent trying to figure out the hell's going on my laptop tonight, and I'm still getting this crazy ass delay. But anyway, so right now the way I have it organized is each cohort is going to be two it's going to be 2 weekends long, which is not a lot. It's not a lot. And right now I have 3, 5, 7. Yeah. 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. So as of now, I'm going to have to narrow again. But as of now, I've got 18 I've got 18 cohorts in my original idea for the apprenticeship. And honestly, if it were up to me, this would be like laid out as the entire curriculum for the school I want to build. I ain't fronting. Like it would be the aside from your basic education, this would be the entire thing. This shit you would be walking through from kindergarten until you graduate high school. These 18 cohorts that I've developed, super condensed, as what's going to eventually become the apprenticeship program for the temple. At least the wellness portion of the temple of the apprenticeship. I'm lightheaded. I literally got up from my desk working with my glue to finish this jewelry order, so I'm suddenly feeling a little bit lightheaded. But anyway, yeah, so I've been working on that, and the embracing the path of the left. I don't know how many of you were able to tune into that or check it out all after the fact, but to me, it's like the issue of the day. That shit is so goddamn deep. It's so deep. And especially now, where on any given time of the day I can go on to this social media construct and still hear y'all after everything that you've seen over the last 5 years, after everything you've seen over the last decade, since 2012, you still will reduce everything that's wrong with America as some left-right issue, as some red-blue issue. That despite everything that your eyes have shown you over the last decade, in particular the last 5 years, you would still radically oversimplify everything that's wrong in America to a left and right issue or a red and blue issue. Yeah. This shit is mind blowing to me. It's mind blowing to me. And to not understand, the shit is spectacular. To not take a moment. This shit is so deep. It's not what I'm talking to you about today. I don't know what the fuck I'm gonna talk to you about today, honestly, truth be told, because there was so much that happened this week. I just started with the interview and the lecture on embracing the path of the left, but I need to say a little bit about this because the last week has been radical. So much has happened in my life in such a short period of time, y'all. So much. So much has happened. And so much. And I made a couple of posts yesterday and the day before, shorts, relatively short videos, not shorts, but like relatively short videos that were edits from old readings that I did from the book Pure Lust. And I really, really am so grateful. I'm really so grateful for even those seemingly insignificant nudges from spirit, nudges from the mother. Because the only reason I got on my StreamYard, y'all see, I don't use StreamYard anymore just because my videos were always coming out so janky. I like the idea of the platform, but it has never executed itself well. In the 2 years that I was using it, I perpetually had janky ass videos. So my StreamYard, cloud or whatever was full. And the reason I could not myself stream the interview that Mama T and I did was because I didn't have any space left. So the next day I was like, no, I really got to download all these videos off my StreamYard. But before I download them, before I delete them, I have to download them. And then, as I download them, I have to look through them to see if there's anything like clip or short worthy, or that I need to condense, to a 20-minute or 30-minute video. So y'all get the oomph, the crux of what was significant in my estimation about those videos, whatever they were, whether it was readings or whatever. And then the other thing that I do very, 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 very regularly is, y'all know that as we're reading whatever it is we're reading, I am always breaking down, especially with Mary Daly's work. The woman was not just an intellectual. She was not just, what's the word I'm looking for? She wasn't just an intellectual. She essentially, which was what Pure Lust was about. What did she say Pure Lust was about? Was about the necessity of weavers, the necessity of uterus holding humans, the necessity of women to name and rename everything, the necessity of weavers of the fates, those born with uteruses, the necessity of weavers taking the inherent power that exists in their bodies that allow petitioning non-entities, petitioning spirits, right? Which is abstract. Petitioning spirits to become a material force so that they too can impact their will on the very material planet. They too can leave a mark on the earth. And she said, as fates, our role is to name and rename everything and to redefine time itself. Oh, and the third thing was to name and rename everything, to redefine time itself. And to, what did she say? She said to exercise the demon of patriarchy that has created a blanket of collective cultural amnesia, in particular towards those who are born female. So we have to tap into our ancient cellular memory. That's what she's saying. That we have to break the goddamn spell of amnesia that is caused by the demon of patriarchy. Redefine time itself and reclaim the power to name and rename everything. To name and rename everything. It was so poetic when I started reading that book. It really, really was. It was what we call divine timing. It was what we call divine timing. Because what did I tell you? Literally almost to the day, a year before we got up in that book. It was exactly divine. You remember the book by, what's her name? What's her name? Abby. Ooh, I don't want to mispronounce her name. Where is it? I keep saying I'm gonna put that book right in my face, and I keep forgetting to. But it's called something to the effect of. Is it in there? Is it? Anyway, it's the book that we read by the sister. She's a Oshun priest. She wrote the book of and what was the name of that book? Rituals. She wrote a book of rituals. Anyway, the thing that stood out, because I read some of her stuff, some little portions of her book to you guys. And y'all remember the time I was telling you where she said she was telling the story about how she had gone for an initiation, I think in Nigeria, maybe Nigeria, and the Babalawo, she was she had been a mentee of this Babalawo. And she said the brother came out one day and um told him, what did she say? It was like, oh, he can't, so he was telling them something about a specific herb or something. You feel me? Like he was. So this is a presentation that he's doing as her mentor, and she said that she kind of had an attitude when he told her to take out the plants, or they were going to work with plants today or something, right? And she said, I thought we was going to be learning how to she said, I thought we were going to be learning how to see the future today. And she said he looked confused. And so in return, she looked confused. And he said, what did he say? He said, we can predict the future because we create the future. No, he said, we predict the future by creating the future. We predict the future by creating the future. Okay? We predict the future by creating the future. So when I tell you that it was divine timing that I created, I'm going to tell you, I willed Mary into my life. I willed Mary into my life. And I'm going to tell you why I say that. I said because a year, when we picked up the book to start reading Pure Lust, I remember exactly when it was. It was two summers ago that we picked up the book, Pure Lust. That was back here behind me with a bunch of other books I hadn't read yet, right? That was on my priority list of books to eventually read. All of these is the priority book, the priority of list of books to read. You feel me? And I had just done about a 3, yes, Abiola Abrams. Thank you so much, Shabba Watson. What was the name of that book? What was the name of that book? The purple book that we had been reading out of. Anyway, the reason I got into that book is because I had just done a 3 or 4 part series that summer. It was deep and it was painful to do because African Goddess Initiation. Thank you so much, dear Abiola Abrams. For those of you who have been following, Abiola Abrams, African Goddess Initiation. That's where the quote came from. We predict the future by creating the future. That's how I got on this thing about pure lust and how I willed that motherfucking book into my life. I did. I'm gonna tell you why. This is what it means, child, to redefine time. Because I had done a 3-part series that was deep and painful and burdensome. And it was the piece that I did on the 4B movement before it got popularized after the election. So this was 2 years ago. This was 2 summers ago. And I'm doing a deep dive on the real reason the women of South Korea had called for the 4B movement, because everybody was talking some dumb shit about why the women were calling for a sex boycott, which is essentially what it was, right? And I was like, in order to help people understand the depth of why the shit was necessary in South Korea. This ended up taking 3 videos. I was collecting tons of statistics and articles and news reports on the goddamn terroristic lived conditions of the people, of the women of South Korea. I ain't gonna get that deep on y'all, but I want to. I want to so bad. But essentially, I'm just doing all this research, not only about South Korea, but how, they're calling it, they're saying Japan is one of the most sexless societies on earth right now. And as a consequence of people opting to not marry and to not date, they have this whole thing called, I forget the name of the group of young people, but they're calling them like the silent society or something like that, where these young people have become hermits in response to this thing that's happening in the society, that the same thing is happening in China. I went through that whole thing. Why South Korean women would be saying no sex, no heterosexual sex, no children, no marriage, and no heterosexual dating. Why would they do that? Why would they take a collective position to be like, none of it, right? And I'm going to tell you why in the short, because it's in response to what I'm getting to, right? They had gotten to the point that the terrorism, the daily goddamn terrorism, is nothing short of terrorism. The daily terrorism that they had been normalized to accept was the inevitability of being born female. They're like, I can't take no more. I can't take no more. Fuck this. No more heterosexual sex. No more heterosexual dating or relationships. No more babies. No more no babies, no booty, no dating, and no marriage. They're like, no, this is too much. Y'all can't hear shit. Because I was telling you, in South Korea, where we always from over here, we look at little videos and the cute little Korean dancers and the boy band, cute little Korean boy bands, and we just think they so ahead of the curve because we juxtapose them against North Korea. But baby, even this dude, one of the most famous dudes, I don't know his name because I don't keep up with that bullshit, but one of the most famous lead singers of one of these boy bands, and 3 of his boy band members was just arrested after a whole host of women came forward. One woman had to kick it off because that's always the way it is. And people gonna be like, oh, she crazy. They so good. They good, wholesome entertainment. One woman came forward, got brutalized by the media and by all the boy band groupies and carrying on. And after she had the courage to do it first, then a whole goddamn slew of women and girls came forward to say, yes, women have been being abused by this boy band for 10 years. For 10 years. And everybody was in on it. The police was trying to protect them. It was gruesome. Some of the shit these men had been doing to these girls, these women. You understand? They were just a microcosm of the culture that is permeating South Korea. Where I just heard a sister talking about, she went to South Korea to teach English as a second language. She was like, I don't know how to, this was a young sister. She, I don't know how the women do this shit. I don't know how they do it. She said, every single day in little ass South Korea, I am seeing multiple news reports of women murdered in South Korea. The leading cause of death of women in South Korea, the number one cause of death of South Korean women is death by husband. By husband. 53% of the people murdered in South Korea are women. 53%. In most societies, the highest, males are the primary victims of violent death. They are. Because men don't just kill women, they kill each other. Males typically are the ones most victimized by violence. Here in South Korea, 53% of the population of the people murdered in South Korea are women. And of those 53%, more than half of the population of murder victims in South Korea, 88% of those murders are committed in their home, inside their house. Inside their house. Plus, of all 54 developed countries, did you know? Because, we got it bad, Black women in America. We do. You feel me? Black women got it bad in America. Native women, more so. But baby, in South Korea, of all 52 developed countries on earth, South Korea has the worst working conditions for women of all 52 developed nations. Of the developed nations, okay? I'm specifying. Of all developed nations, South Korea has the worst working conditions for women of 52 developed nations. So the women was like, you know what? We done been good housewives. We done had the babies you say we need to have. We done all the things. Even though we supposed to be good traditional wives and shit, we still got to go out here and work. And when we go out here and work, we make 33% less. We for every dollar that a man make, she gonna make 33 cents. She gonna make 33 cents. 33 cents is what she's gonna make. 33 cents. When she is made to go the fuck out there and work. She gonna make 33 cents to every dollar a Korean man gonna make. And they got the nerve to kill 88% of the 53% of the victims of murder in South Korea are women. 88% of them are killed by their goddamn husbands in their house, at home. That shit had me so hot under the collar, yo. And so I started researching all the other countries because Asia, people don't talk about Asia because we get so caught up with Asia on how beautiful the culture is, how they've been able to, even though they have had some white imposition, white cultural, colonial imposition on their life because of just the mass of the continent, because of how the continent is really protected in a certain way that makes it difficult for invaders to just come in and take over shit. So they've had the opportunity to really preserve a lot of their culture. So we think because of exotification, I'll be honest, because of exotification, particularly of Asia, we just think, oh, Asian culture is so beautiful. It has such a long and rich history. I'm guilty of it. I majored in Chinese medicine. I took and learned Korean medicine and Japanese medicine. Okay, Indian medicine. So I too have been blown away by the poetic nature of these wonderful cultures that have had the opportunity to preserve their culture from the very violent erasure of culture that has happened to other countries that weren't so geographically protected, isolated, as somebody said. You understand? So we do that. These fucking, what you call these niggas? These passport bros. And I say niggas broadly. White niggas, black niggas, everybody. Everybody over here, they get caught up too in the beautiful preservation of the Asian culture. And that translates to passport dudes. I gotta go to Asia to find me a traditional woman who understands the necessity of culture and values and morality and all of that mess. I'll tell you something. What the exotification of Asian culture has done has created a very toxic society for women. It has created a society that makes it very difficult for us women in the West, for us women who have been afforded, still under extremely dire circumstances, but we have been afforded, and I'll tell you how that affording has happened, but we have been afforded the ability to really face off with patriarchy. That's what we've done. We've been able to force a level of evolution because women have had the courage to face off with patriarchy. But then we will, in facing off with patriarchy and creating a space through struggle for ourselves, right? To free up some democratic space for us to completely widen the chasm of the democratic process. You feel me? what we have done is still exotified. We, women, we've done that. We women in the West have participated, in the exotification of, quote, culture that has contributed to the inability of Asian women and African women and Indian women and Arab women in particular to equally face off with patriarchy where the hell they are. That's what we've done. That's what we have done. We will demand women's rights, women's liberation, some, feminist bullshit and ass bullshit. You feel me? We will demand that for ourselves and then turn right around and go to some third world country like a goddamn tourist and participate, whether knowingly or unknowingly, whether willingly or just you clueless. We will participate in the exotification of third world women and Asian women and powerless women everywhere else. We'll buy the clothes. We'll buy colorful like hijabs to fit in with the culture. We'll buy cute little, quote, oriental dresses and shit. We'll go to India and we'll wear saris because it's so beautiful. I'm gonna tell you something, because for a very long time, I'm having a breakthrough right now. I'm gonna have to walk y'all through this shit. One, what I was intending to talk to you about, but I'm having a breakthrough moment right now. For a long time, I used to be angry, like most people are moved and angry when we see white people engaging in what we call cultural appropriation. We used to be angry. I won't say we. I used to get very annoyed when I would see white women, wearing indigenous clothes or fake ass indigenous jewelry. I used to get severely annoyed, even recently, where I went to this ashram and all the white women had on saris and shit. Just ew, ew. Okay, ew, right? I just get so annoyed. I still get annoyed. I'm not gonna lie. When as soon as a white person in general, a white woman in particular, becomes a swami, right? Is afforded the opportunity to become a swami or some shit. You feel me? Or a yogi. What's that woman? What's that name? Guru Jagat. That kind of bullshit and ass bullshit. Ew. Okay, just ew, a million times ew. And I used to make the declaration all the time that there's never no shit you'll have me caught up in. Just on the principle. Because I can make the claim. Let me give it to you blood raw. I can make the claim and can do it without hesitation that it is impossible for Black women. Let me put it this way. It is impossible for Black people in general, but most emphatically, it is impossible for Black women to culturally appropriate a motherfucking thing. That's my position. Y'all probably ain't gonna agree with it. That's your prerogative. That's what sovereignty is. You ain't got to agree with me. But it's my personal position as the birth givers of every goddamn race of motherfuckers on the planet. There ain't nothing. There is nothing that we could appropriate culturally. This us. Y'all are us. Y'all are us. So what's yours? Technically, I can lay claim to it. But out of principle, I don't. See how that works? So it's important for me to make that preface too. There is nothing in my personal position that somebody can say, why are you culturally appropriating? That's why I don't get caught up in arguing with nobody about it, because Black women have been accused of that. Why Nicki Minaj go to Asia and put chopsticks in her hair or whatever. Don't you know Asian folks was Black? Don't you know they was Black? And that ain't even a long time ago. Don't you know people was Black as me just 100 years ago in Fiji, in Australia? Indigenous people. Black as me. Indigenous people in the Philippines. Blacker than me. Just 100 years ago. Not paintings of them, photographs of them. that a part of the colonial process, a part of the imperial process is to erase the indigenous culture through miscegenation, through forced miscegenation. That's part of its political strategy. Don't you know? I'm talking about bone, straight hair, ass having indigenous people of North America that was black as me 100 years ago. Have you Googled images of Lozen? Have you Googled images of what's his name? Chief Red Cloud of Geronimo? Black as me, bone straight hair. Skin dark as mine. So a part of the process of erasure, keep the culture, claim the culture, erase the people, erase the memory of the people, erase their black ass presence. So that's why I can make the claim. Ain't nothing created under the sun on this here planet that does not have its origins in blackness in general and black femininity in particular. So I could go to Asia and throw my hair up in some chopsticks and wear a cute little Asian geisha girl outfit or some shit if I wanted to. But on principle, I do not do that. What do I mean by on principle? My indigenous, my Native American ancestors' photographs are on my shrine. Photographs of my very real Native ancestors, just 2 generations back, on my shrine, on my altar. So, unlike many who can find the evidence of their indigenous ancestry, and that's not a knock on people who say I got indigenous blood, but it's hard to find for Black people in particular. That's a whole nother thing we can get into. I have my people know on my shrine. I grew up as a child going to powwow, going to ceremony with indigenous people. To this day, I still go to powwow every season and would never disrespect indigenous people by dressing up in indigenous regalia. I would never do that. If I'm gonna dress up for a powwow, baby, look, the police, when they see me, they don't see, oh, she Native American. They don't see that. This black ass bitch here, that's who they see. This nappy ass head bitch right there, that's who they see. This big ass nose bitch, that's who they see. My acculturation, and I don't have any problem with it, saying that I am both indigenous and African. I call myself an indigenous African woman. I am indigenous to Africa and I am indigenous to the North American hemisphere. That's not a contradiction. And even still, even having been acculturated in Native culture since childhood, even having been going to powwows actively in ceremony since I was a child, that is not my direct acculturation. It's not. It's not. And out of respect for the people, out of respect for the history of the harm done to them, out of solidarity, I will go and participate in ceremony. I will go and participate in ritual with indigenous people. But I would never, in a million years, go to a Native American ceremony in Native American indigenous regalia. Well, I'm indigenous too. I have 16% indigenous blood. I would never do that shit. It's offensive. I would never do that shit. I have been practicing Chinese medicine for 11 years. I would never go to China and say, I'm a doctor of Oriental medicine, so it's not a contradiction for me to wear Asian clothes. I would never do that. I would never do that. I would never do that. I would not go to India. And because I'm in India and I'm learning how to play the sitar, would I dress up in indigenous women's garb, walking through the goddamn city, seeing the conditions that these women live under in India? I would never do that. I make the clarification. I could. I would never. I would never do that. I'm having a moment right now. I would never do that. And the reason that I would never do that is because of this moment right here that wasn't even planned. It wasn't even planned. This breakthrough that I'm having right now, what I'm telling y'all, ain't no shit I sat here and ever thought about before now. Never before now. But it's not just cultural appropriation that irritates me so. It's not just white women wearing these things that irritates me so about what we call cultural appropriation. It's not just that. I probably will be honest. I'll be honest and admit that I'm probably less irritated when women of color, quote, culturally appropriate because of this thing, this breakthrough that I just had. That what we do when we wear cultural, apparel and attire of other people is we participate in the exotification of these people. And in the exotification of human beings, you demote who they are as human. You justify their oppression through the exotification of human beings. You do that. You do that. It doesn't have to be your intention. It's how we're trained. The exotification of human beings reduces their humanity. It's such a beautiful culture. I just love it so much in the exotification of other people. You put on subconscious blinders to their oppression because in your mind, what makes them exotic could not be without their conditions. See, their conditions is what gave rise to their culture. This is a breakthrough I'm having right now. We women of the West. This is a breakthrough moment, so I hope you can hear me. We women, all of us, Black women, brown women, red women, yellow women, we all have participated, whether passively or actively. We have all participated in the exotification of other women. One, because it may just be that they're far from us, so we exotify people because it just seems so far away. It seems a world away, right? Or we do have the opportunity to go someplace else and we're overwhelmed by the beauty of this strange culture. It's strange to us. So I'm not saying that we have been, most of us, that we have been malignant, but what it has done is made us see that the social collective circumstances of women elsewhere are not our circumstances, so we cannot identify with the ways that tradition and culture has been the primary weapons used to further exploit women around the world. And we participate because the quote culture is so beautiful. The culture is so beautiful. Oh my gosh, look at how they dress. Oh my gosh, look at their ceremony. Oh my God. Their religion is so fascinating. That's why everybody want to become a motherfucking guru. That's why everybody want to become a goddamn yogi or a swami or some shit. This is the participation in the goddamn exotification of people who are suffering around the world. That's what you've done. And then these religions justify their suffering. So white people in particular who want to go and be a guru or a swami or some shit, right? Because they have the luxury of going to an ashram in India or going to study under some guru. They have the economic luxury of going to some ashram for 3 months to study under this guru. And in their studying, I fasted for 30 days and I did all of these ascetic practices. Isn't it interesting that after you can take 3 months off to go to some goddamn ashram in the middle of fucking a seat of poverty, that you can come back home to your $25 million house in goddamn Beverly Hills? Isn't that so interesting? Isn't that so interesting? Isn't that just convenient? Isn't that just convenient for you? You're just taking these vows of austerity because you too want to be enlightened. Black folks do it too. Y'all ain't off the hook. Y'all do that. Y'all fall for the okie doke too. Mexican people do it too. Y'all fall for the okie doke too. Practitioners of EFI, y'all do it too. You understand? Y'all do it too. God damn it. We learn well. We learn well from white people who, as a strategy of colonization, had to also exotify the subject of their aggression, the subjects of their aggression. The exotification becomes a weapon that dehumanizes and justifies oppression. That's what it does. Whether it's in the colonial period or the age of exploration, or whether it's right now today where everybody want to go and do ayahuasca in Peru while having to traipse through a sea of fucking people starving to death and literally losing their lives to protect their water sources. Goddamn, what's it called? United Fruit Company and Nestle actually hiring hitmen to murder old women who have enough courage to fight them to protect their water aquifers, and y'all traipsing to Peru to have a spiritual experience. Y'all ain't shit. I'm just giving it to you, blood rock. Y'all ain't shit. You ain't shit. You ain't shit. It is the further participation in the exotification of human beings who are suffering every freaking where on earth. And isn't it interesting that in the minds of people in the West, white people in particular, but not exclusively, white people in particular, but not exclusively, isn't it interesting that the only place y'all see fit to go to have a goddamn spiritual breakthrough is to some third world country? What is it some third world person can teach you about enlightenment is because they have survived and persevered through the suffering imposed on them by you? The hell kind of shit is this? What the hell kind of shit is this? I am not impressed, nor have I ever been, by somebody who says, who wears it, like, you remember the Boy Scouts and how every time you like fulfill a task, you get a little badge, right? You get a little pin. When you learn how to light your first fire, you get little buttons. And these buttons, you don't have to say nothing about who you are. You don't have to say nothing about what your worth is. You don't have to say nothing about your intellect. It's because your badge, your lapel, tells everybody around you what they need to know about you, what task you have fulfilled, what obstacle course you have persevered through. You feel me? Your badge says it all. That has become the spiritual movement. That has become the spiritual movement. Let me hoard all the spiritual experiences I can. Let me hoard all the spiritual certifications I can. Let me become a multiplicity of various types of healers. These become the badges that I wear on my lapel that prove how spiritual I am. There's a basis for why it's called spiritual tourism. Why can't you experience breakthrough right here in the United States? That's a word. That's a legitimate question. Why you got to go to Peru? Why you got to go sit in the goddamn Himalayan mountains with the monks and shit? Because there is a whole population right here in the United States of America that make it impossible for you to have a breakthrough, because you would have to face them first. Who I'm talking about? I'm talking about Native American people still living in third world countries right here in the United States. Have any of y'all been to a reservation? Have any of y'all camped for 2 weeks on a reservation? I have, several times. They're literal third world countries right here in the United States of America. Y'all traipsing all over the globe to find one poor person after another, after another, after another, to guide you in your spiritual enlightenment, by probably paying the motherfucking pennies on the dollar. You feel me? Turn around and call yourself a master of the shit that you was just a mentee of for 3 weeks. You had the ability to stay for a 3-weekend ceremony, and now you a master. You come and market the shit, and you charging $1,200 for what you got for $200. Parasitism is real, and it's everywhere. It's all over the place. It's ever present. It's ever present. And the reason I got on that is not unrelated. I'm still talking about these women in South Korea and how it is the exotification of, quote, the traditional wife who only looks forward to having babies and getting married. And what could possibly be wrong in South Korea? Especially, I know so many Black people over the last decade, personal friends that have gone to Asia in general, but in particular South Korea, to teach English as a second language. So many. And it's just interesting to me because even when, like I said, I just heard this young black girl, 23, 24, who's in South Korea right now, teaching English as a second language. And she was like, I don't know how these women are doing this. She said, I have never felt safe since I've been in South Korea. Now we could knee-jerk response and say, oh, it's because she's Black and she's female. She's like, don't even say it's because I'm Black. She said, because I cannot understand how South Korean women are living like this. She said, every day, it's not one or two people on the news that you're hearing about having been murdered, women. It is 20, 30 women a day in the damn news being murdered. Men who are finally, they just passed laws 2 years ago, where now a man can be arrested because it becomes so prolific in the society, what they call involuntary pornography, where restaurant owners, where store owners were putting in hidden cameras in the toilet bowl, hidden cameras in the restrooms, in the dressing rooms, to spy on women and children, and then selling the shit on the market. 2 laws for the first time 2 years ago. Like literally, there is no space where they safe. And so finally, they had a breaking point. Like, how much do you think you're gonna do before women snap collectively? And that was the snapping point, 2019, when the 4B movement started. I was like, God damn, we do everything y'all want us to do. We behave like y'all want us to behave, and we still cannot get any relief in any space whatsoever. None, nowhere. So it's like, fuck it. The only thing that we can relatively control is our uterus. That's the one thing we can relatively right now control is our uterus. So you can't have access to it. Fuck it. Because you can't hear us, even if you say you love us. You can't hear us because 88% of the 53% of the people murdered in South Korea are women at their homes, at a house, by their husbands. So fuck it. We just gonna bow out. Y'all got it. Y'all got it. We can't make but 33 cents to every dollar that one of y'all make. So fuck it. We bow out. Y'all, we yield. Y'all got it. Y'all got it. You understand what I'm saying? China still has never made a collective public declaration of how we as a government need to take responsibility for why no young people in China want to get married. They're saying it's a crisis in China because young people don't want to get married. That there are, what was the most recent statistic I heard? Don't misquote me, but it was something astronomical. It was something crazy astronomical. It was crazy astronomical. It was like 33 million missing women, not missing as in gone, missing as in so many years of female infanticide in China because you can only have one child. And obviously males are better than females and have been, not just yesterday, not just since the Chinese Communist Party and the Cultural Revolution. For the last 3,000 years, women have had no value in Chinese society. That's the culture. That's the culture. In China, during the age of Confucius, which y'all want to, like, oh, Confucianism, what a beautiful philosophy. You know what I'm saying? And under Confucius, China, which lasted, child, it was long ago. It was longer. Well, yeah, about 3,000 years. Because under Confucius, China, which lasted 2,000 years, it was said that if a woman had 10 girls and never had a boy, that when she died, it was said of her that she had no heirs. It was as if she had never had children. It was as if she never had children, child. You see movies and plays and shit. What's the one y'all love so much? Shin Yu? Is that the big ballet, Chinese ballet thing that tours all over the place? right? Is that what it's called? Shinyu? You always see like billboards for it and shit. Y'all love Chinese ballet and Madame Butterfly and all of these plays about the meek, classically feminine culture of China, of Japan, and shit. These women have been suffering since the advent of patriarchy in China. You understand? And what these women were, the geishas, the ballet, the Chinese opera, they were the personification, these women. They were the personification of a creature created by patriarchy, created by males. They were the superimposed, feeble, weak, 100% dependent personification of femininity through the lens of patriarchs. That's what they were. That's what they were. Man, that's my movie. Sierra, girl, that's my movie. She's talking about the Joy Luck Club. That is my movie. Man, yo. It don't matter. I ain't seen the movie in about 15 years. I tell you, I can turn it on right now. I'll be sobbing real ass tears, crying ugly cries, crying ugly tears. I'll be up in here snotting and carrying on that movie right there. If you have not seen the Joy Luck Club, get your life right. Get your life right. That shit is deep. The other thing that it really does, thank you so much for mentioning that movie. I'm gonna have to put it on my list of shit to review. Because the other thing that movie did, and I was very young when the Joy Luck Club came out, maybe 90, 91. So I was like 13, 14 years old. My mother loved that book, loved the movie. And so we always watched it. Every year that it came on, we loved it. But what it did, man, it was so good. And black women loved the Joy Luck Club. Black women watched the fuck out of the Joy Luck Club, but did not internalize it. This is circling all the way back. Because they not us. Because they Asian. We can only relate so much. Because in our consciousness too, we have exotified these women. So it only allows us to relate so much. Because the Joy Luck Club was an extraordinary piece of work, is what it was. It was extraordinary. It was so prolific in how it really drew out how oppression in particular creates this goddamn ocean between women and their girl children. Remember I did the video over the summer about, I called it Mothers Stop Casting Spells on Your Daughters. If you haven't watched it, go back and watch it. But I called this long ass deep dive that I did, Women Stop, or Mothers Stop Casting Spells on Your Daughters. The way that we do that, when I talk about the fact that women as mothers to girl children exclusively become their imprisoners, become their parole officers, become the source. They become the primary channeler of patriarchy into their daughters. They do it for a reason. This was something I had to reconcile in my relationship with my own mama. My mother only had girls, and we were awful. We were awful in our teenage years. We were awful. But the reason I had to reconcile that with my own self, why was I so bad? Why I gave my mama such a hard time? Because my mother was my cage master. I can say that and love my mama. My mother was my cage master. My mother was my jailer. I understand as an adult, having had a girl child myself, why she did it. But even when Morgan was born, I made the commitment the instant my baby came out of my body with a vagina, that I will never do to my daughter what my mother did to us out of fear. My mother feared for our goddamn safety as Black girl children raised in Alabama. It was my mama who taught me to fear the police, not the political movement, not the Uhuru movement. It was my mother, Christian as she was, who taught me to be afraid of the police living in Alabama. She said, living in this country road out here, don't y'all stop for the police. I don't give a fuck. She said, you don't stop for the police. If a cop tries to pull you over on one of these back roads, you do not pull over until you can pull into somebody's driveway. Until you can pull into somebody's driveway that's got a porch light. You don't stop for the police until you see a house. That's what she taught me when I was learning to drive. So those of you on IG, it's about to stop. I'll have to re-up it. Hold on, let me deal with this IG thing. IG be really playing with my damn emotions. It was my mother who taught me to fear the police. Living in backwood, country ass Alabama. 2 daughters learning how to drive in Alabama. Y'all don't stop for no cop. Y'all don't stop for nobody. If a cop pull you over, and if he asks you why you took so long, say, my mama told me I don't stop unless I can see a porch light on or a street light on in front of somebody's house. So I understand why my mother behaved the way that she did. I understand it. Does not make it right. This is the work for us to do as people who give birth to other humans. It is our responsibility to face what we have to be aware as our conditioning to do something different and better. I'm telling you, the day my baby was born, because I couldn't figure out what she was in utero. So I couldn't tell. I didn't know what she was until she came out. And I'm telling you, it was like this quiet promise that I made in my own mind. Child, it was as clear as I'm talking to y'all now. That I will never do to my child what my mother felt compelled to do to us. Never. Never, 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 never. You understand? So I say, I did this thing. Mothers, stop casting spells on your daughters. And then thinking back, because the sister mentioned it, about the impact that the Joy Luck Club had on me, but still feeling like you could only relate so much because they Chinese. That's what I mean. That's what I mean when I say that the impact that we as women in the West have had on women in these countries where their literal existence, every day they catching hell. Every day. We catch hell too. But I'm telling you, now let me go back. Remember I said that the difference here in the West in general, but in the United States of America in particular, the reason that we as women in general, across the board, are able to move about the cabin with some relative sense of freedom, with some relative sense of space, right, is because of the history of women in this country consciously engaging in a straight up contest with patriarchy. You call it the state if you want to, it's the same thing. Okay. Now, I am going to make a deeper declaration than that, because we always, and I've talked to y'all about this plenty, we still have to sit with this idea of what comes after feminism, because feminism ain't the way. It's not the way. It is not the solution for women. It is not how we create a society of equals. It is not how we chisel out a society that is defined by sovereignty. Feminism ain't it. And so what next? What we creating? Okay. And the reason I'm prefacing that way is because every step of progress that we've made as women in the United States of America in particular, we always want to just kind of like throw this blanket called feminism over all of our accomplishments. No, the fuck it ain't. No, it ain't. No, it ain't. The 2 primary groups of women who have been staging a contest against this bitch since day one have been Native women and Black women. Whether it was overt contest or whether it was subtle contest, like grinding up glass in a pestle and mortar to put in the slave master food at night. Whether it was taking over being the primary midwives, Black and Native women in this country, being the primary midwives, using subversive methods to create catastrophe in the master's household, without being too specific. But I told you, there is a book that one of these days I intend to read to you by this woman I interviewed who is a teacher at I think it's called Susquehanna University in Philadelphia. I interviewed this woman 10 years ago or so. 15 years ago. She wrote a book called Medical Revolutionaries. The subtitle is Enslaved Healers of 18th Century Saint Domingue. Okay. And the reason she wrote this book, baby, is because she talked about how healers were the primary ones who were engaging in subterfuge to dismantle the institution of slavery throughout the islands, throughout South America, Central America, and the antebellum South. That most people that we have attributed to slave rebellions were healers. We don't ever talk about that. Toussaint Louverture was a healer. Didn't know that until I read this book. You feel me? She talked about all of the subversive ways that women were the greatest revolutionaries, creating catastrophe all over the plantations, all over the Western Hemisphere. She talked about the multiplicity of methods that African women used to murder whole slave households. I don't want to say murder. Let me not say murder. She talked about the multiple, because this is about, what did we say in the very beginning? The importance of fates naming and renaming everything. Not only naming and renaming everything, changing and redefining time. Changing and redefining time. I'm not going to say murder. She talked about the multiplicity of ways Black women who had a masterful knowledge of the plants in the area used those plants to cast judgment on their slave masters. To cast judgment on their slave masters. You feel me? Because all things ain't equal. Death, to murder someone is to commit a crime against an innocent. That's what murder is to commit a crime, to end the life of an innocent. That is murder. If your hands is covered in blood, if your hands is covered in the institutions of bloodshed, and one of the victims of these institutions of bloodshed take it upon themselves to use the power inherent in their body called the great divine portal to cast judgment, this is not murder. This is divine retribution. We have to change the way we communicate ideas. I'm talking all about this. I got started talking about, I really got started talking about all of this because I was going to tell you how we got into pure lust in the first place. The way that we even read that book in the first place was because I said, I created that future. What did Abiola say? She said, here she is. She asked the dude, like, I'm confused. Why are we talking about plans today? I thought we was going to learn how to predict the future. And he looked at her just as confused as she looked. He was like, what you talking about? Don't you know that we predict the future by creating it ourselves? We do that. That's what the brother said. We predict the future by creating it. I predicted that future, that book coming into my life, because I sat here that's how I got on the South Korean women. I sat here for 3 weeks talking about the conditions of South Korean women. And I don't care what kind of conflict we have with Korean women in the United States of America, acculturated through white nationalist supremacist ideas in the United States of America, it will still never have me be a political opportunist and say, I don't give a damn about the conditions that women are suffering under in South Korea. I'll never do that. Y'all don't have me out here doing no shit like that. I understand why people do that. I do. Because we all up in our emotions. We've been pitted against each other for a very long time. I will never be a political opportunist. I will never look at the suffering of women. I'll never hear no goddamn statistics about how 53% of the goddamn murder victims in South Korea are women, and 88% of those 53 are murdered at the house, at home, by people who claim to love them. I will never be okay with that. Not only will I never be okay with that, same thing I said over the summer has not changed, even as y'all mad about November 5th. It does not change. My position is every woman in the Western Hemisphere who has a little bit of space to move democratically, because we created that space. Black women created the space to move politically through this bitch, to move democratically through this bitch. Native women created that space. We don't know nothing about the native heroines in the goddamn conflicts in the United States. We don't hear nothing about them, because the culture and the tradition has exotified them too, has made them completely invisible, even within the context of indigenous culture. You got to go looking and searching for the woman. What's her name? What is her name? Something Cath. I'll find a picture, because now I feel like an ass. But it was a woman who killed General Custer. It was a woman who killed General Custer. It was a woman, Lozin, who was, quote, the right-hand man of Geronimo. But we don't hear nothing about revolutionary ass, gangster ass, Native American heroines who set this shit off. We don't hear about the whole battalions of hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of extremely Catholic, extremely beautiful, extremely traditionally dressed Mexican women holding shotguns going into battle during the Alamo. We don't hear nothing about that. So you won't have me out here no goddamn political opportunist. It's what has us fucked up as it is. Yes, we all have conflicts among each other. Arabs and Africans and natives and blacks and Asians and black people. We all got the shit. That you'll never have me out here okay with the suffering of others. Not only not okay with the suffering of others, that I say, goddamn it, I ended that damn live that day. Victory to the women of South Korea. Victory to the women of North Korea. Victory to the women of Japan. Victory to the women of China. Victory to Arab women. Victory to African women. Victory to women in India. Victory to women oppressed everywhere on earth. I do not give a goddamn. You'll never have me out here with that bullshit. Not only that, you will not have me participate in glamorizing, quote, beautiful customs and traditions and culture that justify and legitimize the necessity of oppressing women. You won't have me engage in no bullshit like that. You will not have me do it. To betray the mother by participating in the exploitation of women. What the hell is wrong with y'all? To betray the mother as a woman, out here participating in the customs and the cultures and the traditions that justify the silencing of women, that justify the murder of women, that justify the exploitation of women, that justify the rape of women. I'm telling you, this is what the process of creating new culture has to look like. It's what it has to be informed by. It's what it has to be informed by. And to keep it above, our favorite Hindu goddess, Kali, I don't recall ever having seen her in a motherfucking sari. And she's supposedly the oldest of all the goddesses, all the Hindu goddesses. I don't ever recall seeing her in a motherfucking sari. Not in any adaptation of her. I ain't never seen her in a sari. I done seen her with the titties out. I done seen that. I done seen her tongue hanging out of goddamn mouth. Not pristine, not feminine, not demure. I ain't never seen her like that. I ain't never seen Oya in what y'all call it? What is it? Oh my God, what is it called? I ain't never seen Oya in a Lapa. I ain't never seen Oya in a Lapa. When I was in Oyatunji African village, that shit used to drive me crazy. If you were a female living in the village, you could not leave your ile, your house. You could not leave your ile without wrapping a lapa on. You had to have a lapa on. You had to have a head wrap on. Isn't that fascinating? I was like, oh, well, it is just the culture. I don't know. But I had listen, let me tell you about trusting your spirit, y'all. Let me tell you about trusting your inner rebel. we will say, oh, well, we will feel some kind of way about something. We will feel some kind of way about something, not wanting to do it, resisting it, and then talk ourselves back, talk ourselves down through our cultural conditioning to just be respectful, just to be respectful of other people's culture. Don't say nothing about the oppression that is everywhere in Saudi Arabia. That's everywhere. Where the place y'all like to go so much? Qatar. That's everywhere in Qatar. That's everywhere. What's the other place y'all like to go so much? What's the other big place? The big Arab place y'all like to go so much. You hear everybody talking about going to. You feel me? You just have to be respectful of other people's culture. Isn't that the weapon used against women around the world? That you can't speak out. Dubai. Thank you so much, Nura Allah. Dubai. Oh, it's so gorgeous. You just have to respect the culture. I saw an interview with a brother who, child, I said, that shit is insane. How we accept insanity because it's cultural. This brother was doing an interview, some famous brother was doing an interview about this recent trip he took to Dubai. And the woman asked him, was like, aren't you openly gay? He's like, yeah, I'm gay. She was like, and you went to Dubai? He said, I had to butch it up. I had to butch it up to go to Dubai. Child, that interview did me. That interview did me. To recognize that your very being, the essence of who you are as a human, you have to disguise in order to vacation someplace that's propped the fuck up on the suffering of others. Dubai has one of the most wicked, real-time, present day, prolific enslavement campaigns where they will literally host ads all over Africa to woo people to come to Dubai to work for short periods of time to stack some money so they can go home and end up, as soon as you get to Dubai, your passport is taken so you can't go nowhere, you can't be out, and now you a slave. Now you a slave. Men, women, workers, most of the construction. These beautiful edifices everybody's always talking about Dubai, are propped up off slave broad day, real time, live and in full effect, goddamn slavery right in Dubai. And this Negro gonna get on the TV, because the interviewer, she looked confused. She was like, "How you went to Dubai? Ain't you gay?" He was like, "Yeah, I'm gay, girl." He said, "I had to butch it up a little bit when I went." That interview did me so much wrong. You would go and spend your black ass dollars in a place where you literally, not figuratively, you literally have to wear a disguise. Why? Because you are not safe there if you are revealed. Isn't that something? This is where you went to vacation. This is where you went to, quote, his quote, turn up. To spend your black ass dollars in a place where your life is actually in danger if you are revealed in who you are. Meanwhile, the Taliban has officially walked back every single game made by Iranian women, by Arab women, by Muslim women, by now making it so that your ass cannot even be heard speaking in public. That's as of August. That ain't 50 years ago. That's as of August. Women, Arab women, cannot be caught speaking in public, talking at all in public for threat of prison. And we over here with the democracy, with the democratic space that we fought like hell for. Every square inch we fought like hell for women. We fought like hell for way before the first wave of feminism. Goddamn, a first wave of feminism. Goddamn, a first wave of feminism. Goddamn, a second wave of feminism that was opportunistic at best. That was opportunistic at best. When black, brown, and red women in this, hell, and yellow women, but y'all don't want to have that conversation either, because y'all always want to equate Asian women in America to white women. That ain't been the history of Asian women in this damn country. Deliberately kidnapped from China to be exploited over here as sex workers. That's the history of Asian women on the West Coast. And so what happens is our patriarchal personification, in a lot of ways, becomes the mechanisms that we use to attempt to protect ourselves. I'm not making excuses for women, but I'm telling you what it is. I'm telling you what it is. A lot of the time when we become like my mama, the imprisoner of our girl children, when we become like my grandmama, the personification of a good Christian woman, right? Is because in our minds is to be antithetical to a good Christian woman is to put a target on your back. It is to mean that it is to communicate to the grand group that if you aren't a good Christian woman, that anything that happens against your life is now justified. That's what it's for. That's what it does. And that's how we internalize it. Not just men. Men are not the only enemies that threaten our lives in a patriarchal society. Some of the most prolific misogynists I've ever met got uteruses. And I'll be even more controversial. Some of the women who are some of the greatest perpetuators of misogyny wear dresses. Even if they weren't born with uteruses, they wear dresses. They wear makeup. And in a lot of ways, their femininity is directly cast in opposition to ours as one of those patriarchal tools to justify whatever happens violently or otherwise, aggressively or otherwise, against the bodies of those born with uteruses. We've all been pitted against each other. But if we don't come to the right conclusion about what the nature of this weapon that is us, this weapon that is used that is us, against one another, we'll stay coming to the same dumbass goddamn conclusions and engaging in the same dumbass discussions. Like, I'm more woman than you'll ever be. I'm prettier than a lot of these bitches. Y'all. And so we do it too. We in the West, I want you to hear me, through the exotification, of other cultures. We are, now you know, so now you can't say you didn't know. We are actively participating in the exploitation and the brutality and the oppression against other women. Women are fighting like hell to free themselves. We have afforded ourselves some space democratically. Let me just say one more thing. Everything that everybody, including white people, everything that everybody in this country experiences as some kind of democratic process, some kind of democratic space, some kind of edifice of America being the most democratic place on earth. America is the greatest country on earth. Anything that makes America look great to the outside world, anything that makes America look great, came at the expense of some colored woman. Everything. When I say everything, I mean everything. When I say everything, I mean everything. Everything that makes America identifiable as awesome came from the struggles of some melanated woman. Okay, everything. Name it, and I'll tell you how. Name it, and I will tell you how. I remember seeing and feeling all warm and fuzzy about it. Little Richard made some declaration about how he was the creator of rock and roll, and nobody was doing what he was doing before he did it. That's a motherfucking lie. I had to resolve it within myself. Because even black men have a tendency of laying claim to shit that they did not create. They do that. They do that. They do that. What's her name? Rosetta Thorpe is the architect of rock and roll. That's who he is. Big Mama Thornton, she is one of the architects of rock and roll vis-a-vis her influence in blues before anybody else. You feel me? And even if you can, talk to some of the blues giants, like what's his name? What is his name? Robert Johnson. And what's his name? Howling Wolf. They got mamas. And them skills that they incarnated with, you feel me? Is because they got mamas. It's because they got mamas. Not only do they have mamas, they got their mitochondrial DNA from their mamas. You feel me? They got mamas. So when I tell you, jazz, and we didn't all but disappeared all the jazz female greats that made their mark in how they influenced the craft. You feel me? So when I say everything identifiable is awesome, everything identifiable as some edifice of the democratic process, space made for everybody to make their struggles. What's her name? Susan B. Anthony. Why does she seek out Sojourner Truth? If white women was going to change things significantly for we women, quote, we race of women, if Susan B. Anthony was trying to set something shit off to, quote, liberate the, quote, race of women, what she need Susan B. Anthony for? I mean, what she needs Sojourner Truth for? Because we legitimize just by being in the space. Anything they trying to create, anything they trying to set off, they need at least one melanated person in the room to legitimize what it is they talking about. Every time, all the time. Name a thing. It's the great paradox. It's the absolute great paradox. To need to be close enough in proximity to us to steal our shine, but far enough away from proximity to us to maintain your very peculiar relationship to power, to malignant power. You see, that's why they don't want us to leave. It ain't like they trying to put us on the ship nowhere and send us back to what they think is our land of origin or whatever. They ain't trying to get rid of all the niggas. You feel me? They trying to keep enough and to keep them close enough in proximity to continue this parasitic relationship that they have with us. And still maintain allegiance to power, to malignant power. You feel me? So, how long have I been up on here? An hour and a half? I don't even remember how I got on that. Oh, but I do remember how we got on Pure Lust, how I created that future in that relationship with Mary Daly and that walk through that book, where she's talking about the three main things that we have to do is reclaim the power to name and rename everything that fates, quote, uterus possessing human beings, women. What? We have to use the power of this instrument of grand manifestation to change time, to change and redefine time itself. That's what we have to do, right? Then what was the other thing she said? Is we have to she said we have to cast a grand global exorcism. A grand global exorcism of the demon of patriarchy that has cast a spell of global amnesia. That's what she said. That imposed amnesia has been the greatest instrument wielded by the grandfather patriarch. That's what she said. And so I pick up the book after doing a 3-week deep dive on why the 4B movement and why we women in the West need to be saying all victory, all power to the women of South Korea. God damn it. Fuck what you heard. All victory to the women of South Korea. I don't even understand how that's a question. I don't even understand how it is something that is up for debate. not for women. I don't even understand how it's up for debate. All victory to the power of South Korea, to the people, to the women of South Korea. Now, so we go on this whole deep dive. I'm telling y'all all these terrible statistics about what life is like for women in South Korea and what life for women is like in Japan, what life is like for women in China. And ain't nobody saying the thing that need be said about them and India, for that matter, about them 4 places in particular. Everything is the issue but the issue. Everything is the issue but the issue. The issue is what we are witnessing as women heeding the call of the mother. They may not be able to articulate that, but they are heeding. Something is pulling them. They are heeding the call of the mother to express her outrage and her demand for revenge. Her demand for revenge. Do you know there is an estimated 3 million baby girls that were the victims of infant infanticide during the one child laws in China? There's an estimated 3 million babies that were murdered, taken forcefully, women taken to jail forcefully, taken to jail when they're found out to be pregnant. Homes raided, women taken to jail and having their babies forcefully removed from their bodies. 3 million babies. Same in India. Female infanticide is still an issue in India today, as white people are traveling to India to go sit at the feet of some goddamn Swami or yogi or guru. How y'all reconcile that? To go to India to have a spiritual experience, to experience enlightenment, and there ain't nowhere you can go where you're not walking through a sea of suffering. Why? These people ain't entitled to enlightenment. Why does that enlightenment not translate to them having, now I'm enlightened, now I can have an abundant life. I can have an abundant experience here in the material realm because I have achieved enlightenment. This shit is gross. It's gross. You feel me? And so India, not only female infanticide, what do they call it? What's the word? What's the word when a society, it's already on the tip of my tongue. What is the word to describe in society where the elderly are targeted for extermination? What's that called? It's infanticide when infants are targeted. What is it called when the elderly are targeted for extermination? Well, it don't even have to be the elderly, because it's not the elderly in India that's targeted. It's elderly women. It's elderly women, because culturally they can't get, it's frowned upon for women to get remarried after their husband dies in India. So they're talking about this massive explosion of I don't think it's euthanasia. I might be wrong, but I don't think that's the definition. I think euthanasia is like, I don't know. I'll have to Google it. But anyway, there's an explosion. Scenecide. Okay. All right. But it's not scenecide. It's matricide is what it is. That's why I made the correction, because it's not aging people. It is aging women. It's elderly women. But a massive increase of homeless people that are elderly women. Because if the son does not take on responsibility to bring the mother into his home to care for her after her husband dies, she'll end out on the street. And so this Indian priest, built this huge ass institution to house all these old women who have been abandoned by society once they husband died. Just saw a thing the other day that I shared with y'all on some of my social media about how elderly women in China in mass are committing crimes so that they can get arrested and go to prison, because it's the only place they have for people to take care of them. I just saw that 3 days ago. Here I am practicing Chinese medicine. I'm always told about how the culture is so rich that as soon as our parents get a certain age, we start thinking about additions to our homes so that we can take care of our parents once they pass away. Child, women black-faced being interviewed because they don't want their identity known. Elderly Chinese women, they're saying there is a massive increase in crime in certain parts of China because if a woman outlives her husband, ain't nobody gonna take care of her. And one woman said, I would rather be in prison than to die alone. At least there are other people like me here. That's what she said. 72-year-old woman who went and committed a crime and waited till the police came so that they would put her in prison. Y'all, this is the world women are living in, that we glorify and glamorize and exotify. This is the world women are living in, where they so goddamn desperate, they'll go and steal a goddamn sandwich from somewhere, knowing that they'll go to prison. She said that was the second time she had been in prison, and that the crime was not quote bad enough for her to stay there long. So she said, I would rather be in prison than to die out here by myself. So let me commit a worse crime so I can make sure that I can live out my years in prison. That's what she said. The 72-year-old Chinese woman. That's what she said. She said, I thought I was going to die from loneliness. That's what she said. She said, at least there are other old women here up in the prison. That's what she said. She said, the first crime I committed didn't give me enough time. They didn't give me enough time. So she said, I had to do something worse to make sure that I could spend out the rest of my years in at least getting a couple meals a day and talking to other women. That's what she said. This is the world women live in. We over here fucking glamorizing bullshit, saris and goddamn chopsticks in the hair and geisha girls and shit. We over here glamorizing the origin of the personification, the outward personification of women's suffering. What did Fela Kuti call it? Suffering and smiling. Geishas were suffering, but they were beautiful. And they had on great makeup. And their hair was well kept. And they had perfect posture. And they danced. And they sang. Because men under patriarchy require us to make them comfortable with their exploitation of us. They want to feel good and confident and comfortable and even cared for as they oppress us. So they pretty us up. They create standards of beauty that are synonymous with an inability to liberate oneself. That's why I had an attitude about living in Oyotunji African village. And they was like, you can't leave your Ile without a lapa on. I ain't ever seen Oya in a lapa. A lapa is a very tight wrap. It's you like bind. It's like, it's kind of like a sari, but African. And you bind it. It's real tight. And it has to be all the way down to your ankles. It's real tight and it has to be all the way down to your ankles. Bitch can't run in that. Bitch can't stage a contest in that shit. I ain't never seen y'all in a head wrap. Her hair always out and wild. I ain't never seen what's her name? Kali with her hair all cute and done up in the pretty little head wraps that the Indian women wear. And the Indian women, they show you videos of how to do the goddamn sari. And that shit tight and wrapped around about 20 times. Then it's tossed over your titties. Bitch can't make an escape in that shit. The clothing are created through the lens and in the interest of the patriarchy to keep you bound, to keep you from breaking free, to keep you from fighting back. Isn't that what fashion is tied to? It is. We exotify the shit. You see the geisha girls, they walk in little bitty steps because their dresses are so tight they can't make wide strides with their feet. And we call it dainty culture, right? We've seen images of their feet, how they started getting their feet bound as children so their feet wouldn't get too big. Because if your feet too big, you can probably run on some rocks and shit if you're trying to get away. You got to wear high heels so you can't move too fast. Nigga can catch up with you if you're trying to make a great escape. You you wearing a sari, your ass wearing a goddamn whopper, you can't hide no machete in that bitch. You can't tuck that shit. You can't tuck that shit nowhere where it won't be seen. They so goddamn tight. You can't carry a piece in that. You can't put a gun in that shit without it being evident. And we out here exotifying what transformed warriors. Women have always been warriors. Out of necessity. Women have always been warriors. They don't ever talk to you when they talk about geisha girls and beautiful Asian culture and shit. They don't ever talk at the same time that they talking about these cute little geishas and shit like that. They don't talk about the thousands, the history of the thousands. I just learned about this shit this year. The thousands of women who had been trained samurai fighters. Thousands of women. Revolutionary gangsters is what they were. We don't ever read about them. We don't ever read about the lows ends. You know what I'm saying? We don't ever read about, I got a favorite. Ooh. White Buffalo. Is that her name? White Buffalo. I'm gonna remember this woman's name. White Buffalo. I can't remember. White Buffalo. I think her name was, but she killed General Custer. But I ain't never heard that till last year. She killed General Custer at the Battle of the Battle of Little Bighorn? She ghosted that. She ghosted that bitch. Oh, you want to come and stage a contest up on our shit? We got you. Let's go. Get down. Right now. Yeah, she did that. You feel me? She did that. Stop playing with me. You ain't slick. Turkey. Don't even come over here trying to be cute. Chump. Yeah. She say, sister, what is it? The golden age Piscean. Women starting to wear cool fashionable sneakers with their dresses. Okay. Let's see something. Says, what other channel are you on? Because you're not seeing my I am seeing your comments. I just get in a flow and I have to stop for a minute and go back and look at the comments so I don't miss the flow. You feel me? Let's see. They have never spoken out in defense of us. The women don't. See, I don't do that. Don't do that. Do not do that. Do not do that on here. Do not do that on here. I said what I said. I said, I understand why I understand the why for why there are women, especially Black women, saying, we ain't taking nobody's side. We ain't speaking out in defense of others. And what I said after that is, you will not have me out here doing that. That's what I said. I said, you will not have me out here doing that. You will not have me out here fronting as some political opportunist. Not where women are concerned. I won't do it. Take the position that you want to take, but do not come over here doing that. I cannot. I cannot. Don't do that here. Don't do that. Have your opinion somewhere else. Do not do that here. Do not do that. Go on some man's page with that bullshit, y'all. Stop doing that on here. I do not know why. I don't know why people think that sovereignty means, quote, or free speech, whatever you want to call it, means that you can come over here and try to contradict what I am saying about my experience and my position. If it contradicts what I'm saying, I don't want to hear it. That's just me. I'm telling you my experience based on my learning, based on my peculiar. If it don't rock with you, take that shit somewhere else, man. Stop doing that on here. This is what I'm talking to y'all about all the time. Even in this live, women have to stop being enemies to one another. Everything in the world that we accept in our mind, everything that we believe in our goddamn consciousness about some other, about our daughters, about some other women, is implanted through these instruments of goddamn coercion. It's implanted in us. So when I make the declaration, you will not have me out here betray the race of women, even as we have our particular and peculiar. rightful gripes within us, among us, you still will not have me out here championing the exploitation of human beings in general and women in particular. If you don't agree with that, that's fine. But stop doing that. It starts in these kind of conversations where women feel, child, women will come up on here. Oh, this little piece right here, this little social media right here, this little screen right here, and y'all, for whatever reason, whether you accept that it's a relationship with your mother, whether you accept that it's divine intervention, doesn't matter. Y'all end up on here, and this is my little territory. This is my little piece of sovereignty right here. My little 6 to 9 feet radius of sovereignty that I'm trying to win and create for everybody. And the first thing somebody want to do is come up on here, not as the student, because this is the relationship. When I come onto somebody else's shit to hear what they have to say, I am the student. I'm the student. When it's my shit and you come here, I am the teacher. You are the student. Stop coming on my shit trying to teach me or trying to contradict what I am saying. Keep your opinion somewhere else. Go to some man's space and do that shit. You can't teach me. You can't teach me. Not making those statements like these last few statements you done made over here. You can't teach me. I understand what the contradictions are. I told you, damn near 80% of the people I put my hands on, my clients, my patients, are Mexican women. I am well aware of the contradictions that exist between Black women and Mexican women. You still will not be out here having me betray women by somehow accepting their suffering, accepting their exploitation and the peculiar impact the patriarchy has had on them as Mexican, on them as Native, on them as Asian, on them as African or Black or Indigenous. You will not have me engaged in no bullshit like that. If that's what you want, that do you. I specifically said, I get it. We are emotional people. I get why so many Black women are saying, and I would never even challenge them. I wouldn't. There are so many thousands, hell, probably millions in the United States having felt betrayed by all these other people saying, we checking out. We ain't doing shit for nobody. We ain't speaking on behalf of nobody. We on permanent vacation. Y'all got it. Y'all ain't never heard. Well, I have once said my piece about how I experienced that and how I feel about that. But just to condemn Black women because they exhausted politically, because they exhausted socially, I would not be condemning Black women for taking that position. It's not my position. Not only is it not my position, I'm opposed to that position. I'll be honest. I'm opposed to that position. But I understand, which is what I prefaced by saying, I understand why they have taken that position. I accept the necessity, at least the theme behind it, saying, look, we're just taking a break from other people's shit. Now, we done showed up at everybody's space. We done rallied and demonstrations and here and there and to and fro for everybody else. Y'all got it. I get it. And I would never, never, never go on to some Black woman. I would never gone to some Black woman's little piece of sovereignty that she's etched out for herself and be up on her shit talking about, what you saying? Them women don't give a goddamn about us. Blah, 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 blah. On and on and on and on and on. I ain't trying to hear that shit. Go somewhere else with that shit. Straight like that. I would never go into some Black woman's space, some Black woman's attempt to teach from her peculiar experiences something that she reasons other people need to know. I would never go onto some Black woman's little piece of sovereignty where she is trying to galvanize a spiritual family or political family using the one little instrument she got to go up on her shit and try to disrupt the shit with some bullshit. Don't do that. Stop doing that to me. I don't know what it is about people feeling just obliged to come up on my shit with some bullshit, to be deliberately contrary. That's part of the problem. Is y'all all, even Black people, too comfortable contradicting everything that comes out of the mouth of a Black woman. I would never do that shit. I would never disrespect no woman, period. But Black women in particular, I would never disrespect some Black woman, even if I didn't agree Well, what's she talking about? Child, you know what I do? Go to fuck somewhere else. Oh no, she about that bullshit. It was cute at first. She about that bullshit. Next. I don't know how y'all think y'all about to create a new world. I don't know how y'all think y'all are about to create a world of sovereign beings. And you can't even respect this little teeny piece of sovereignty in real time. The fuck you think you're trying to create? What is it that you're trying to execute in the world? What is it in the mind, in your mind? What the vision of the world actually is, what it can be, how it can be light years better than what's imposed on us, and you can't even honor sovereignty right now in real time. How that work? How that's supposed to happen? I see that you've apologized and I accept it, but like we have to change our relationships right now, not tomorrow, not like it's something we gon' what did the Bible say in the book? We predict the future by creating it. When? Now. Now. Man, come on, man. We make this shit too complicated. And we make it complicated because we learn from men. They complicate everything. It's deliberate. They make a mystery out of everything. It's deliberate. They are, what did the Bible say? They are the architects of confusion. No, the Bible says the authors of confusion. We have to simplify, man. And if we can't start now, that when I am in space, I tell y'all that all the time. I do not lie. I do not lie. Okay? When I tell you, as brilliant as I am, and I know that I am, the genius that I am, and I know that I am, in any moment, I can still identify in a space, at an event, if peeping the terrain, am I the student in this moment or am I the teacher? And then I adjust accordingly. If I recognize that in this moment, in this particular space, that I am the student, guess what happens? Just like you in a classroom in college that you paying a couple $100,000 for, you shut your motherfucking mouth, you take out a pen and a piece of paper or your laptop, and you don't talk until the professor has opened up the floor for you to ask questions. You don't talk, you don't interject, but what I heard was Professor so-and-so. You don't do that, do you? You shut your mouth because you are the student and paying as much as you're paying. You want to get the absolute most from this person's brain that you can while you paying these couple of grand. And then when he or she offers the opportunity for you to ask a question or to inquire or to interject, then you open your mouth. That's how I am right now at 50. Right now at 50 years old, I can go to an event where I am surrounded by people who are my children's age and still recognize in that moment, I have something to learn from these young people. I have something to learn from these young people because they got a lane I ain't never even thought about. Let me shut my goddamn mouth, take out a pen and a piece of paper, and absorb as much as I can in this little couple of hours that they lead in this meeting. Stop doing that shit to women. Stop doing that shit to women in general and stop doing it to black ass women. For the next foreseeable 400 plus years, everybody when in space or in a conversation with black women just they default need to be to shut up until she stopped talking. That's my personal opinion. They default need to shut their fucking mouth until I have closed mine. God damn it. Is y'all not listening to black women all this time that has us in the quagmire that we are in? Feminism looks the way that it does because everybody know more than black women. That's y'all position. Everybody know more than black women. No matter how many motherfucking degrees she got. What do they say? Black women have more degrees in this country than any other group of people. Male, female, and all the races. Black women are the most educated motherfuckers in this, and I will still be in a space where everybody in the room know more than me, and half of them ain't graduate high school. Meanwhile, I got 4 fucking degrees, 18 certifications, skilled for 20 years in Chinese medicine, Ayurveda, Native American medicine, South American medicine, African holistic health, radio for 10 years, revolutionary organization under a veteran organization as a radical socialist for 15 to 18 years. But everybody, don't matter where I'm at, everybody in the motherfucking room smarter than me because I'm black and got a vagina. Everything is wrong with this. Just like I said earlier, everything identifiable as something that is progressive and awesome and democratic and cultural and awesome about America has some black woman or some colored woman to thank for it. Now, I can say that, and at the same time, I can say, so on the contrary, everything wrong with this filthy, rotten bitch, everything wrong with America, everything identifiably wrong with America is because y'all refuse to listen to black women. You refuse to listen to Native women. You refuse to listen to Mexican women. But y'all all, Mexican, Native, Asian, all of y'all across the board refuse to listen to black women. That's why y'all have this cute little, saying, you have this cute little hashtag right now. Listen to black women. Why you got to say that? Because y'all have had a history of not listening to black women. I had a Native man tell me that once. I had a Native man. He was telling me about this. It was a massive, massive demonstration. Like, we shut down a bank. It was crazy. It was about the pipeline that was about to go through Wet'suwet'en Reservation in Canada. And even though it was sovereign territory, even though it was a reservation, Wet'suwet'en had gotten the backing and had gotten the state on their side to run a goddamn like a gas line or some shit through the Wet'suwet'en reservation. And so this dude that I called brother at the time, this Native brother, asked me to come to the demonstration. I get to the demonstration and it was huge. There was a lot of people. There was a bunch of famous people. Susan Sarandon was there. Jane Fonda was there. There was a bunch of famous people. It was huge. It was a big deal. And all these people, massive people. And there was 3 black people. I was the only black female. And then there was 2 brothers who young brothers who ran like these, like one was like a climate change organization, and then the other one was like a environmental activist, right? Climate change and environmental, like youth they were like youth and like radical environmentalist or something like that, right? And everybody was speaking from their organization. I was like, well, I'm not tied to a specific organization, but I've been speaking in the city and volunteering in the city long enough. And you've heard me speak at a multiplicity of events in the city. I feel like I'm the only black woman here. Like, I should say something. I should say something about, because even the 2 young black, and they were young, like younger than my kids young, even they weren't talking about how this, the relationship of what was happening in Wet'suwet'en and how this shit is a trickle down effect, that if they can get away with it here, it ain't gonna be no time before they trying to run shit through historically black communities or whatever, right? And you know what he told me, girl? Y'all, this Native elder, who at the time was one of my dearest friends, we ain't friends no more, because men are gonna men. If there ain't no systems of accountability, men are gonna men. You feel me? But he told me, he said, I was still being called Iapo at the time. He was like, Iapo, I asked you to come to the demonstration because this is a quote, we needed your powerful black presence, but we didn't need you to speak. This is a quote. So there was 2 black men, young men. There was 2 black men that spoke. There was, an Italian dude who spoke. They had a phone, like a live presentation via something from the elder who was spearheading from the reservation this national call to put a stop to these banks. That's why we closed down the bank. These 2 banks that were funding this this pipeline through the reservation. There was a couple of Asian women from other organizations that spoke. Everybody, there was an Arab woman, there was an Indian woman who all spoke. Not only that, me and this Native brother were the 2 oldest people out there. except for like Susan Sarandon and Jane Fonda. But like in terms of like actual participants, because they were like observing, they weren't necessarily like in the demonstration. Yeah, I left. I was so child, listen, I was fuming. I know my hair caught fire. I was mad. I was like, the fuck. I was like, did you just say that? He's like, oh, I didn't mean it like that. Oh, but you said what you said. But you said what you said. So I'm cool if I'm on the bullhorn, you know, chanting some hard ass chants. But as soon as it's time for an elder, y'all, I'm an elder. I don't know if y'all know that or not. But as of this year, side note, as of this year, I am considered I'm considered elderly in California. Like to gain access to like, you know, like the local swimming pools and the local like deals. Child was 50. I'm elderly in LA, y'all. I said, when that happened? The fuck? I thought that shit was 65. The woman was like, you get the benefit of the elderly discount at 50 years old in LA. I said, God, God damn. I digress. We say what we say, and people treat us like we crazy. And then this native man gonna tell me we wanted your presence, but you can't speak. Basically, we wanted your presence, but not your voice. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. But I'm crazy when I say it. I'm crazy when I say black women in general are crazy when we say we got to come up with a cute little hashtag like listen to black women. And y'all are like, why is that hashtag a thing? It's because y'all don't listen. That's why the cute little hashtag is because you don't listen. To live in a city like Los Angeles with a very revolutionary history, Angela Davis lives here. The Black Panther Party, one of the biggest branches, was here in LA. Not just that far back. The Watts rebellions, the Rodney King rebellions. The city has had a revolutionary history. So when I started 3 years ago, first of all, reaching out to different organizations, black organizations, to see who, if anybody, was organizing an event to honor Harriet Tubman's birthday / death day, because she was born in March, but they don't know the actual year of her birth and or the day. But she did die on March 10th of 1914. And so, at least in the South, we always celebrated Harriet Tubman Day, the day she was born and the day she died on March 10th. And so I'm calling around town. I'm like, well, surely there's somebody around here who does some kind of event for Harriet Tubman Day. And there's an organization called the Harriet Tubman Center, and they do not do events for Harriet Tubman's birthday, aka Death Day. I was like, well, shoot, ain't nobody doing no shit, so I'll do an event. So I did. I hosted an event for Harriet Tubman Day, and there was a reason I mentioned that. Oh, the reason I mentioned that is because everybody want black bitches around to power up their shit. And I'm walking around town promoting for a Harriet Tubman event on March 10th. I couldn't believe I ain't just talking about others. I'm talking about black ass, melanated ass people. Talking about who that? Who that? Who is that? I went to speak at because it's Women's History Month. And so I went to go speak at this Women's History. I didn't go speak. I went to go promote my event, is what I went to do. And there were different women, and they did this particular Women's History Month event as a demonstration against, because what had happened was the week before, there was that leak that it looked like the Supreme Court was going to be overturning Roe versus Wade. And so everybody was demonstrating because of this leak about how they was about to overturn the thing. And so all these women and, allies and stuff were out there. And after I came, and I was the only black woman there. There was a mixed race woman, but she was obviously mixed race, like obviously mixed race. And there was a mixed race guy. They were manning a table. Everybody out there was other or white, but there was 3 of us black folks and 1 fully black person out there. I was like, all right, well, it is a Women's History Month event. I came to y'all shit. I was there before the organizers were there. I was there an hour before the organizers were there. I did just come to y'all shit. I did just sign up with your little organization. I handed out some of my flyers, but I think I should say something. So I went up to the girl who was moderating the thing. The thing is over. Okay? Like over. People dispersing. I went up to her. I was like, look, my name is Cassandra, blah, blah, blah. I said, now that the event is over, but before people leave, I'd really just like to, if I could have the mic for like 2 minutes just to promote this event that I'm doing in honor of Harriet Tubman. Chad, she couldn't even hide her face. She didn't even try to disguise her face. And who are you? Now, mind you, the girl couldn't have been 30. Okay, so first of all, even me being a gray-haired ass old woman didn't sway how she behaved. And who are you? She faking like she writing some bullshit. And what did you say the event was again? Okay, let me figure something out. I was like, okay, do what you got to do. So I get on the mic and I do what I do. You feel me? Because it ain't about her. It ain't about her funky ass attitude. She was Mexican. It ain't about her funky ass attitude or her ageism or her internalized racism or her anti-blackness that was obvious in this moment. You feel? It wasn't about her. You know what it was about? Motherfucking holding up a champion of the democratic process in the United States of America. And the fact that there are people in this country, in this city, with a revolutionary history who can form the words in their mouth to say, I do not know who that is problematic. I don't give a fuck if they white, black, brown, yellow. I don't care. Anybody in this country who can say they don't know who Harriet Tubman is, this is indicative of what's wrong with this country as it stands. As it stands. Harriet Tubman, who could not fucking read and write, has a military history as a woman that no other woman has matched since. The fuck is wrong with y'all? What the fuck is wrong with y'all? Don't know who the fuck Harriet Tubman. What the hell is going on in the goddamn universe? Your ass benefits from her life, from her being born. You benefit. If you live in the United States of America, you benefit because she existed. Your life was made better because she existed. The hell is wrong with y'all? You understand what I'm saying? So I get on the mic, I do what I do. I said, look, she can have a little funky ass attitude. Give me the motherfucking mic and let me do let me big up my mother really quick. And I do what I do. I said 2 minutes. She said 2 minutes. I said, okay. And I blew her little flimsy ass microphone the fuck up. And all of a sudden, her whole demeanor changed. Oh my God. Can I get the address for that event? When is that again? Her whole energy shifted. I ain't gotta have an attitude with a 20-something-year-old kid who don't know nothing and is disrespectful in what she don't know. What good is it gonna do me to get offended by her little ignorance? Ain't doing shit for me, honey. Now, that kind of political opportunism, I will exploit. I know more than you in this moment, baby, and I know, poor Tink Tink, that it is your fucking conditioning that has you disrespectful in this moment. It is your internalized anti-blackness that has you acting like an ass in this moment. It's okay, because it does not sway me and it does not impact my life. I came out here to do what I got to do. The mother led me here today to do what it is she saw fit for me to do and have the impact that I had the ability to have in 2 motherfucking minutes. You feel me? And so I had to. It was a learning. It was a learning stage. It was a learning process. Learning how to navigate LA, because for so many people to be so smart, young people, man, there's so many brilliant level young people in this city. When I and y'all know I don't hand out brilliant all willy nilly. I don't hand out. I don't hand out brilliant. All with there are some genius level young people that I have met in this city. But the problem is, and I'm talking to y'all about this all the time, how because this culture is seen as progressive in LA, the progressiveness, the intellect, the education is based on what's the word I'm looking for? It's based off conjecture and theory. It is. To have a conversation with a human being that's 25 and be like, damn, I wish I had been half as smart as you at your age. I'd have been set this shit off already. To be able to acknowledge that, like, damn, y'all really out here learning some things. The problem is the disconnect between the acquisition of knowledge, whole bunch of shit coming into your head, you feel me? The acquisition of knowledge, and then the transformation of knowledge and to wisdom that comes only through action, through applying theory, through applying knowledge in the real goddamn world. And if you ain't living in your neighborhood, if you ain't got no black friends or no native friends or no Mexican friends, you feel me? If you don't, you ain't left the little corner of the city that you live in, there's no action that is propping up, that is legitimizing your intellect, your knowledge. And that's what's wrong with the world. That's what white people, white men in particular, have mastered doing, is dissecting this relationship between knowledge and wisdom. All you have to do is be an intellectual. All you have to do is know how to talk about a lot of shit. That's all you have to do is practice. That's all you have to do is hold a bunch of shit in your brain. That's why people get fucked up on politics, on leftist ideology, on progressiveness, is because all you have to do is articulate progressive ideas, even as nothing in your lived experience is indicative of this progressive idea in your head. Your environment, your immediate environment, right, being a reflection of the ideas you hold in your head. This is actionable discernment that I'm always talking about. I don't give a fuck what you know in your head. How does that express itself in the real world, in real world relationships, in real world community? Do you go? I don't have to have throwdowns with people out here. People who I care about, people who politically I respect, but I'm like, how the fuck you reconcile this shit? We'll be in a meeting and we go to an event where everybody talking about black and brown, the necessity of black and brown unity and how we need to get together. And you've been doing this event for 25 years. And I'm the only black woman. There might be one or two Negroes with their non-black partners. And then everybody else, hundreds, everybody else is Native or Mexican, but everybody on the platform, everybody performing is using hip hop as their mode of cultural transformation of ideas. I said, how y'all rectify that shit? I said, y'all been doing this event for 25 years. Y'all just don't know no black people in LA? You on the mic talking about the need for black and brown unity and solidarity, but ain't but 3 colored folks in the crowd, in the audience. I'm talking about black ass colored folks. You feel me? Everybody else is native or white or Mexica, Azteca. But all of y'all, all 15 acts performing, have chosen hip hop as your method of communicating your rage and your fuck the system attitude. How y'all reconcile that? Do y'all just not know where the hoods are, where black people live? Y'all don't know a single black organization that would take on organizing their community with this event? You got organizations doing organizing children's parades for Black Lives Matter. And all the quote mothers are others, Asian and Mexican, and the unifying factor is all the kids is black. All they all baby mamas to some Negro. That's the point of unity. That's the point of unity for this kids parade. Is all the organizers have children by black men, and that's what I'm talking about. The disconnect between knowledge and wisdom, because wisdom is embodied. Wisdom is embodied. The transformation of knowledge, which is ideas. Ideas become a material force through action and application. Through action and application. So I'm sitting here in a room. You have this person tell me, oh, it's so exciting. We're going to have all of these kids who are going to participate in this parade for Black Lives Matter. And it's so awesome or whatever. I was like, oh, that sounds awesome. Like, I'm a mama. How come I didn't hear about this? Oh, I didn't even think about it. I didn't even think about it. Why wouldn't you think about it? I got kids and grandkids. Like, why that didn't come up? And she was like, well, all of these women have, Black children that are very young. I said, wait a minute. I said, what you mean by that? I said, what's the demographic of the committee? She was like, I said, let me make it easy. Are there any Black women on the committee? She was like, no, not one. In the whole committee. Not one. Not one. But they all got Black kids. The level of disconnect is sobering. So I made up my mind a long time ago. I can be in LA and have an attitude with everybody because everybody do it. Not just the others, not just Mexicans and natives and yellow people and not just them. Black ass people do it too. Right hooked in here in LA. Does shit be oh my God. Some of these shits I have experienced in this city by people brown as me, child. So when I tell you that the disconnect is deep and that we have to be actively engaged in taking the ideas that come in and working with them, fucking working with them, not memorizing. Oh, I like the way that I like what they said. Now I'm gonna use it too. Now, that's why y'all be messed up spiritually too, because y'all just hear some new idea and you're like, yeah, that sounds good. I like that. So that's an idea I got too, because I'm always breaking that shit down. Ain't I always breaking that shit? I'm trying to demystify I'm trying to kick the doors on all this bullshit. That's what I told y'all. I was up in here. It don't. These days, I am not easily caught off guard. I'm just not, because I know all of this shit is fucked up. Everything, even that we believe, I'm gonna try to tell you, everything that we believe is fucked up. That's what evolution is. That's why even you spiritual workers, even you healers, even you spiritual people, y'all ain't really about that life. I'm telling you, because I was that person. Y'all ain't really about that life. Once you quote concretize a concept in your head, you stick with that. You stuck with that for a long ass time. It take you a long time. It take you a long time to move past it. That's what evolution is. The shit is uncomfortable because we are defined by our beliefs. But I'm gonna tell you something. A lot of y'all are spiritual workers, healers, and I'm a seer, and the this and the this and the this and the this. If your walk in this journey is not constantly making you self-question, constantly making you uncomfortable, constantly creating opportunity for epiphany, and that epiphany not be blocked by that goes against what I believe. You ain't doing the work. You ain't doing the work. My beliefs have changed so much that I'm open to that. That's what evolution is. Remember when I told you I did my first walk with ayahuasca, and for 8 hours in that ceremony, every time I would have a breakthrough, every time I get this like earth-shattering goddamn download, she's like, the voice in my head kept saying, don't stop there, go deeper. Every time you have a breakthrough, do not get comfortable in that shit, go deeper. Every time you think you done become a master of something, that's why I don't call myself no master of no shit. I hate it when people be talking about, I'm a Reiki master. No, the fuck you ain't. No, you ain't. Now, I've been practicing Reiki for goddamn 15 years, bitch, and I don't call myself a master. No, you ain't. In your little 6-week workshop or your weekend workshop in Reiki. Shut up. You're never a master. You're never a master, because every time you have a breakthrough, this is a layer of conditioning you have eradicated. Go deeper. This is a goddamn institutional implant in your consciousness. The breakthrough. What are you breaking through? Conditioning. What are you breaking through? Colonialism. What are you breaking through? Imperialism. And them levels is deep and deep and deep and deep and deep. And she rolled my ass in that first 8-hour walk with ayahuasca. She's like, oh no, that ain't, you need to know that, because this is like peeling the layers of the fucking onion off. You got to pull all that shit back before you can get to the root, to the core, to the center. Go deeper. Just when you think you done arrived, go deeper. Get more uncomfortable and accept the chaos of that as the epiphany that you need. Embrace the chaos. Embrace the fucking black, the scary of it. This is where breakthrough is. This is what, thank you, real evolution is. It is. And so here, that moment that I had talking about cultural appropriation, I was like, damn, it ain't cultural appropriation isn't why I was always uncomfortable with that shit. It was the exotification of the suffering of human beings that we fucking participate in. That's what was making me uncomfortable about seeing people. Because white people do what we call it cultural appropriation, and I guess that's appropriate. But they ain't the only ones that do it. The problem is because we too are colonized, because we too have experienced oppression. Our stopping point is that we can't culturally appropriate, because cultural appropriation is about power dynamics, whatever. But we don't talk about the fact that we have participated in the exotification of the sufferers of other places because they shit sounds so pretty. You feel me? Hinduism sounds so pretty, right? Hinduism, as it manifests itself right now today and for the last 3,000 years, is a wickedly, insidiously violent patriarchal tradition. I don't give a fuck how many mantras you do. It's violent. It's violent, and it justifies the murder of human beings. It justifies the death of human beings. It justifies suffering. It justifies exploitation. And if I'm lying, why the fuck India look like it look? Why they just now in the last decade creating laws that will actually send men to prison for rape? That's just in the last decade. And what gave rise to that was old women called the Pink Ladies deciding that enough was enough, got training in the traditional hand fighting in India, and started carrying sticks around in a gang, in an actual gang. And then when a woman would call and say, look, my husband be messing me up every night, they would go on that nigga job. They wouldn't do it at home. They would wait till he go to work. They would go to his corporate office, drag his ass out the office into the street, and start beating the crap out of him with their sticks. And all of a sudden, within the first, what did they say, the first year of the formation of the Pink Ladies, and these women going all over India, beating the crap out of these men who were beating their women up at night. The first laws in the history of the country that gave harsh sentences to men who exploit women, who rape women, and who harm women. Women did that. Wasn't some evidence of some Hindu cultural epiphany that occurred to the men in power in India that maybe we need to do some laws that'll prevent, men from doing terrible. The Hinduism didn't inform them of that. It was women going gangster on their ass that informed them. Maybe these women ain't gonna take this shit too much longer. That's what did it. These old women, they weren't young, sprightly women. These was old ass women. That if ain't nobody else gonna do it, we gonna do it. So no. And they walking around the country in goddamn pink saris and shit. I was like, look, what they need is some good running shoes. Hell, if you had me, Till, some good running shoes, some booty shorts, a bustier. Like, break all the goddamn social norms, not just the ones that are supportive of harm and crimes against women. Break all the taboos. Be Khalid. Just resurrect Khalid. You know what I'm saying? Get yourself a little long flowing skirt so you can move with some agility. You feel me? Have a little belt with some nigga skulls on it. You feel me? And go to war with your titties out. Just break all, just every taboo created is a taboo that justifies the suppression of women. Everyone. Name one, I'll tell you how. Every single one. So that's why I was raging so hard. I didn't understand it. I didn't have the language for it. And what I did is what we're trained to do, is that when our little inner rebellion, our little inner rebel is trying to buck against some shit that we intuitively know is fucked up, our consciousness will be like, oh, well, you do have to respect the culture. So I'm living in Oyotunji African village, paying rent in the village, putting my hands on all the priests, doing my little healing services in the village. And I get mad every time one of these dudes tell me you can't leave your Elay without a sari on, but I'm out there having to pay, I'm having to do the same work. I was out there painting fences and tending to the horses. And y'all can come out in jeans, but I gotta wear a sari. I mean, I gotta wear a lapa and tight and all the way down to my feet. And I gotta be outside painting whole ass fences, cooking for the whole village twice a day, 5 days a week. I was cooking. I, by myself, was cooking for the village, but I got to have a lapa on. I can't leave my Elay without a lapa on, no matter how uncomfortable it is. And all the while, it was my inner rebel saying this is some bullshit. See how cultural norms and so-called tradition imprison you, inhibit your movement? I'm just trying to give y'all a word. So when I tell y'all, and I've been telling y'all this since I've been up on here for 5 years, that this ain't no message for everybody. Everybody ain't gonna feel it. Everybody ain't gonna rock with it. That's what sovereignty is. That's what sovereignty is. And sovereignty, especially in a spiritual journey, in a breakthrough of evolution, sovereignty requires that everything that you accept, because I tell you, rock with what resonates with you. If something I say don't resonate with you, keep it pushing. There's a million other places to go to find something that resonates with you. And I ain't got no problems with it. That's what sovereignty is. That's what I want, is to honor your sovereignty while at the same time you honor mine. You feel me? And so if it doesn't resonate with you, that's cool. I ain't even gonna have an attitude about it. It ain't for everybody, because I'm taking a hard line. But my hard line is based on what Oya teaches me, what her story teaches me, what her nature teaches me. Her nature teaches me that when she arrives, when she makes herself known, which she has, that the only reason she makes herself known, the only reason she arrives in the slow pace that it takes her to arrive 250 years later, that at the juncture that she arrives, she said, strap in, get comfortable, because you probably are going to have to relinquish everything you have known and believed and come to accept is the only way. I come here to slay. I come here to lay waste to everything that has prevented evolution, not just for you, the individual, not just for you and your people and them because they look like you, for the whole goddamn planet. I have come to usher in a new age. And for that to happen, I have to lay waste to everything that was, everything that is. And y'all get uncomfortable because y'all love tradition so much. It's so beautiful. Y'all love tradition so much. Y'all love culture so much that it becomes the invisible cage that you impose on yourself in your compliance to the cultural norms, in your blind, unquestioning compliance to that's the way our ancestors always did it. So we have to do it exactly that way too. And because y'all do that, self-impose your invisible cage as a prisoner to tradition, as a hostage to culture. I'm just trying to give you a fucking word. Oh yeah, say I came to lay waste to all that shit. Get comfortable. I came to lay waste to all that shit. I came to listen. I came to destroy the institutions of oppression. I came, and she up in this bitch with her partner, Shango, who is the great revolutionary, who is the extraordinary radical. He say, what she say? That's what Shango's saying. What she say? She the lead up in this bitch. She the lead. That's what Shango. Whatever she say, that's what I say. So here they are, the divine evolutionary revolutionary partners, squadded up for the next 20 years to seed a new future. That's what they're here for. to seed a new future, where every single solitary action and word that we are engaged in for the next 20 years is going to determine the type of future that we leave for everyone else. And I'm saying it all the time. The only decision that we need to make in this period is, I'm always quoting this because I think it's just the most radical, ingenious, and simplistic thing. Thomas Sankara said, we come here with a decision to make. And it's the only important decision that we will make, because that decision will guide every other decision that we make. And that decision at the moment that we are born is, will we fulfill or betray our destiny? That's it. That's it. And while oppression remains supreme on earth, our destiny is one. Our destiny is one. It is to restore humanity. It is to welcome the reemergence of the mother. It is to end the collective suffering of this most magnanimous and beautiful planet that we occupy. That's it. That's it. Now, the methods that we use to fulfill that singular destiny that we all have. We have a singular destiny. We have a singular destiny with 8 billion peculiar ways to fulfill that destiny. That's what your talents are. That's what your gifts are. That's what your education leads to. But we have a singular destiny. And Thomas Sankara said, we only got one decision to make when we are born, is to fulfill or betray our destiny. And what will the descendants of this planet say about how we performed the fulfilling of our destiny in this life? Will they look on us with hatred because we betrayed them? Will they look on us with hatred because we betrayed them? In betraying our own destiny, we betray the future. In betraying our own destiny, we betray our descendants, whether they're our direct line or just the occupants of this world that we have set in place, that they too now must fucking overcome, persevere through, attempt, fight, struggle like hell to change, because we left it in a goddamn quagmire. I'm just telling you. You feel me? And all y'all is up in here, and we should be excited about it. We should be ecstatic about it, because her presence is a guarantee. She guarantees us victory if we heed the call. She guarantees that. She says, there's no question. I am the master strategist. In the Ifa tradition, it says that even though Shango is the great revolutionary hero that he is, that he never entered into battle without first consulting with Oya. That's his wife. That's his boo. And even he, the turn-up man that everybody glorifies and glamorizes, that it is said of Shango, he never went into battle with it. Babe, what you think? What you think? He never went into battle without consulting with Oya. How you think I need to do this? What's my approach need to be? You feel me? So, we up in here. We up in here. And I'll tell you, truth be told, she not only guarantees us victory, but she only guarantees us victory when we fucking comply. When we comply. She guarantees us victory when we comply, and not burdensome compliance either. I don't know, y'all don't want to hear that, because y'all are like the little what you call it, the little Boy Scout I was talking about earlier, who wears his accomplishments on his collar, on his lapel, and everything is just such a rigorous test that he must overcome. Y'all love the rigor. Y'all love the fight. Y'all love the burden. Y'all love the woe. Revolutionaries, self-proclaimed revolutionaries, and political activists are the worst of that shit. The woe, the gloom, the glum, the unexciting, the perpetual statistical repeaters. Y'all make revolutionary work boring and unexciting and burdensome, not a joyous process, indicative of people who believe, who understand, who know that victory is imminent. It's ours to claim. That ain't the energy you go into the shit with. It's gross. It's exhausting. And please know, because I did this shit for a long time. Just like that. burdensome and woeful. And according to the statistics, this is the myriad of ways we fucked up. Like, we don't know we fucked up. We don't need a statistical analysis of the multiplicity of ways that imperialism is shortening our goddamn life and making our existence miserable. We don't need a dissertation to understand that. What we need is enthusiastic, excited leadership that says, look, if you comply to the mother's will, her will is aligned with your will. What do I mean? Because her will tells you everything that the fathers have told you. Take the opposite position and you're probably going to be better off. If the fathers done told you, if the Father God done told you, and I don't care who the Father God is, Shiva, Yahweh, Buddha, who else? What's his name? What's his name? Yahweh, what's the other one? Allah, Jehovah, you name them. Everything they done told you, in every variety, in every way, every single Father God has told you the same thing. That ecstasy is elusive, and that the only way to achieve true ecstasy is through suffering and pain. It is, quote, the bearing of one's cross to suffer like I did to redeem yourself. It is bloodshed. It is. That's what the Father God's then always told you. Suffering is a necessity for enlightenment, for spiritual breakthrough, for, quote, spiritual ecstasy. And in the suffering, you can't be suffering if you're joyous all the time. You can't be suffering if you're getting laid well all the time. If you're getting laid so well that it actually becomes a spiritual experience to experience orgasm on a regular basis in a world where oppression doesn't exist. How can you achieve enlightenment in a world where exploitation doesn't exist? If the Father God says that your suffering is a necessary requirement of enlightenment. So the mother tells you, if you take the opposing position to everything that you have come to understand about spirituality, you're probably going to be better off. You're going to be closer to me than you ever have been. I'm talking about God. You're going to be closer to me than you ever have been. Just start with that. That is what that workshop was about. Embracing the path of the left. Just start with that. Just everything your Father God done taught you, take the opposing position. You ain't even got to be deep and philosophical. You ain't got to read all the things. If you just start there, whatever Jesus say, I'm taking the opposite position. Whatever God says, in whatever manifestation, whatever Father God Abraham, whatever Father God Yahweh, whatever Father God Allah, whatever Father God Jehovah, Father God Shiva, Father God Brahma, I don't give a fuck. Buddha, whatever the Father God said, and whatever, if any of his manifestations, even the really pretty ones, aka native traditions, even the really pretty ones, aka Mexica Azteca traditions, even the really pretty ones, if it's a Father God, if it came from Father God, even if you never read another book in your life, and all you do to shift your goddamn behavior is say, okay, Sister Cassandra, High Priestess Cassandra, Oracle Sybil Cassandra said, if I just take the opposing position and move in that way, I'm probably going to be better off. And then that's when you use actionable discernment to either prove what I said or to disprove what I said. Don't just take my word for it. Say, you know what, for 1 week, everything the Father God, everything I still hold on to from Christianity, everything I still hold on to from Islam, everything I still hold on to in my relationships with Black Power organizations, everything that I hold on to from, Mexica revolutionary cult, everything that I hold on to as a deeply ingrained belief structure, I'm going for 1 week only. Take an opposing position from my beliefs. If I have a knee-jerk response to do X, I'm going to do A or whatever. Do that for 1 week. And I'm telling you 1 week. And if your life is not improved in some way from taking this very basic position, then it ain't for you. And that's cool. No harm, no foul. But baby, even when I became, quote, Black Power conscious, I was 24, 25. And I was learning so much information from these elders in the party. Just, my mind was just, it was exploding. There was so much info. I was like, and I was outraged. That's the only thing I felt all the time was just this seething fucking rage. I was angry all the time because I was like, damn, is there nothing I done ever learned in my life that's true? These motherfuckers lied to us about everything. Like there ain't no aspect of my life that's true. That's what it felt like when I joined the party at 24, 25 years old. I was just consumed. I was overwhelmed with rage. That was the only emotion I had for years. For like the first 5 years I was in the party was just rage. Just unquenchable goddamn rage. And in that rage, which was not ill-founded, there was so much information. I was like, it'll take me 1,000 years to catch up on all the information they've been stolen from us. So my position had to be, I can't get overwhelmed by what I don't know. I literally would make the declaration on a regular basis. From now on, this is my position. This is my baseline position. Whatever the white world say, I'm taking the opposite position. I don't care who it is, whether it's history, whether it's mathematics, it don't matter. Whatever the white world say, by default, I'm taking the opposite position. That's my baseline. And if I start from there, I'm still ahead of the curve. And that was my position for 20 years. But it is deepened because of my walk with the mother. It is deepened because of the walk with my mother. This is the basis for why I'm telling you what I'm telling you. What the party, what being a Black Power organizer did for me is it gave me the ability to deeply internalize and understand for myself what the Declaration of Sovereignty actually means, what it looks like in the real world, and how to recognize when I am not being, where my sovereignty, recognized in spaces where my sovereignty is not being honored in my body. I trust that. I trust my flesh. This is the mother's gift to us, is the flesh. This is her gift to us. So we don't have to live in abstraction. We can have a real live material experience that guarantees us ecstasy and pleasure and joy and satisfaction, fillingness, to be fulfilled in our everyday life. This is the gift that the flesh gives us, that has been denied us. You feel me? And so my political life informed how I would enter into a walk with the mother, into my spiritual life. Because as a political activist, I was an atheist. But I needed that experience as a scientist, as a dogmatic scientist, atheist, socialist. I needed the structure and the dogmatism and the unrelenting and unquestioning belief in the authority of that organization in order to understand what I needed to recognize as a weakness in spiritual spaces. Because when you see, the problem is when you go straight from an Abrahamic religion or some other religion right into another, quote, spiritual tradition, it's still very easy to be victimized. It's still very easy to be to fall victim of the similarities in them all. I needed that space between being born in a Christian cult, in an extremist Christian cult, to be an atheist for 12 years in a hardcore dialectical materialist socialist organization. You feel me? I needed that break from spirituality, disembodied spirituality. You feel me? Before entering into this relationship first with my ancestors, because that's how I was brought into Ifa, was through ancestral veneration. It wasn't until months after that I started learning about the Orisha. My ancestors had a lot to say You feel me? So even how I came into the tradition, it was necessary, but I needed the science of revolutionary organization, of disciplined, strict, cadre style, veteran organization under political activists who had been doing this their whole adult life. The elders, the veterans in the party. By the time I joined the party at 24, 25, there were elders in the party they had been doing this work since they were my age at 25, who were already 65 and 70 years old. This is what I mean, direction under the leadership of elders, not people who just went to school to learn some shit. The translation of knowledge to wisdom is an embodied act. This is why I needed the party before I entered into a relationship with my ancestors and with the mother. And so I could peep this fucking gross ass bullshit that lingers in all these so-called spiritual spaces. And the shit is rank. The shit is rank, is prolific, and is everywhere. And as long as patriarchy remains, the rank will remain. The dirt the gross will remain. I don't care how pretty the shit sound. I don't care. I met this monk. I told y'all I met this monk when I went out there to the damn Hare Krishna temple a few months ago. And he gave me a collection of the works of the guru, I guess, that's responsible for founding the Hare Krishna. Jay gave me a box this big, brand new books. Like, I think it's like 16 volumes, big ass. Each book looked like the Bible. I'm gonna read them, but I'm gonna tell you, I read what I read, I watch what I watch, to be able to be a functional translator of the bullshit that they kept y'all caught up, so y'all can extract from it what you need and throw the rest of that shit in the garbage. Plus, it makes my book collection look really beautiful. I'm trying to give y'all a word. I was thinking about my walk because I know sometimes I assume sometimes, because I'm like you remember the movie, it's so crazy I just said that. You remember the movie American Pie? And the little girl that played the flute, and she had a story for every scenario that happened in life. She had a story for it. Like this one time in band camp. Oh, that's really funny. It was like this one time in band camp. Oh my God, that happened to me too. This one time in band camp. You remember? She had a story about band camp for every single circumstance that happened in her life, right? I do that with movies. Y'all know that. And it was just funny that I used a movie to talk about this tendency that I have. And I've talked to you guys about this before, but my Elay, which is in Tampa, I will never forget the elder priest in this Elay. She was 80 at the time. It was just a breakthrough moment that still stands out, because I know it's weird to some people that I communicate very deep ideas to you guys sometimes, and I use movies as a way to communicate these ideas to you. But I always go back to this one service that she did when she talked about, I am working on this idea because, but anyway, what she said was that all forms of media, books, movies, music, social media, she said all forms of media are considered in Ifa the domain of Obatala. Obatala rules all forms of media. That shit was just like one of those moments where it's like, mind instantly blown and expanded at the same time. Like, oh my God. What does this mean, right? And so when I started doing movie reviews on here, not even reviews, I call them, like movie breakdowns. I always try to draw out the hidden in modern media, right? Well, this week, I told y'all this whole week has been radical. I've been talking to y'all about some shit I had no intention of talking to y'all about today, but it was important in its spontaneity. But this week, y'all don't even understand. So much giant shit happened this week. And typically, I tell y'all my whole life. There ain't too much the state is going to be able to try to, how the state be trying to embarrass people by, quote, exposing their hidden life. You feel me? Like, oh my God, I didn't even know he was like that because he was so nice. Y'all, that ain't no shit the state is ever going to be able to use against me. I tell y'all my life. You feel me? All the dirty, all the grimy, all the ugly, all the risque, all the taboo. I tell y'all my whole life. I put my whole life on Front Street. You feel me? Y'all know more about me than probably my mom and them do. But I digress. What was I saying? So I do the deep dives with the movies, and my dad used to do the same thing when I was a child, but it was him through the lens of a Christian. But I didn't know at the time it was a preparation for this period of my life. It was a necessary preparation for this period of my life. And when I do these deep dives, that's what I'm always thinking about, is this confirmation that I received from this elder about my life, seeing movies differently than the regular person, because at 5 years old, this is how my dad taught me to see movies, is to look beyond, to look within what is hidden in plain sight in everything that you watch, so that you aren't, quote, programmed by it. That's what my dad taught me as a very young child. And I'm saying this because I want to do this regularly, because it's not my imagination. When that elder said this shit is the realm of a batala, and even as it is created. Let me tell you what happened this morning before I got up on here. This morning, an IG came through my For You, and it was this dude in a ski mask with some glasses on, like his whole incognito. He ain't want his face to be revealed, and he had a thing on his voice, so you couldn't recognize his voice. And he's talking about the Mossad. And he's talking about how he says the Mossad is, he said, this is a quote. This is not me saying this. This is a quote. He said, the Mossad is the global state. That's what he said. He said the Mossad, the Israeli secret agency like our CIA, the Mossad, he said, is the global state. He said, and what I mean by that is every movie ever produced, every record label, he said, every film you've ever watched, we wrote the script. We approved the script. We hired the actors. This is what he said. We hired the actors. We were the directors. He said the Messiah. That's what he said. I said, I was in my bed, dumb scrolling before I got out of the bed. That was the first thing to come to my For You. He was like, look what you heard. The Mossad is the global state. Everything, everywhere serves us. The media, every movie you've ever seen, we wrote the script. We hired the actors. We directed the movie. We produced the movie. He said, we are the global state. And everything that we produce, that's what it's for. So isn't it interesting? Because I'm always saying that. I'm always hidden. I'm always exposing what's hidden in your shit, right? But even as this is their intention, that's what he said. We, the global state, we use all of these instruments to serve our needs, to serve our objectives, to serve our purposes. And isn't it interesting that spirit can still come through that quagmire of shit? Isn't it true? Isn't it interesting that the mother can reveal herself even through this monstrous creation? I'm just trying to give y'all word. Melinda got kicked off the screen. I don't know what you mean. Who is Melinda? Hold on. I can see what he's saying. I started noticing mentions of Israel and the IDF and everything I watch, from RuPaul to Gossip Girl. That's why Melinda got. But it's been even before that. I know y'all young, and that's the hot topic of the day. But I mean, some of us have been pro-Palestinian activists for 20 years. I'm one of them. You feel? It's just the issue of the day. It's louder because social media is more prolific. But it's just the order of the day. It's just the issue of the day. Because at the end of the day, if There's a documentary. I'll see if I can find it. This guy did it so good on the history of the history of Hollywood and how it contributed to the formation of the Israeli state. Talk about mind being totally blown. Totally blown. That Hollywood's birth was as an instrument for the preparation of the Israeli state. Now, Hollywood, the first Hollywood movie produced to be shown on the big screen was in 1914, Birth of a Nation. You feel me? But baby, it was, but the vision for the establishment of an Israeli state happened in the late 1800s, 1887 or some shit. They was already plotting and scheming on the birth of the Israeli state. So when this guy is a Jew born in Israel, doing this deep dive on the history of Hollywood as an instrument to prepare the world for the implementation and establishment of the Israeli state some 40 years later. Okay. Too deep. But anyway, what I was getting at in why I do the movie reviews, why I talk in movie, like when I'm trying to give y'all some deep philosophical breakdown. Like, remember that time in that movie? Yeah. Right? The reason I talk in movie, or the reason I talk in song, you feel me, is because of this thing that she said that I always understood, but not in the way that she explained it, is that, baby, the whole planet belongs to the mother. It's what I said last week about the white girl, Mary Daly, who wrote this book, Pure Lust and Beyond God the Father, that messed us up, that gut punched us at every corner. And how I had been getting blowback from some of my black followers from my black subscribers about, I'm gonna just be up off of here while you reading this book by this white woman. Why you read so many books by white women? You feel me? I was like, babe, they live on Earth. They are a part of Earth. And even as they may have limitations in their understanding, the mother will use anything and anyone she sees fit to execute her will. That's what them two women did when they wrote The Great Cosmic Mother. And I was like, I ain't reading that shit. The hell some woman from Sweden gonna teach me about my life? The hell some woman from Portland could possibly teach me about my experience as black and female in this country? And it was the crossroad turning point. It was the point. Remember in the movie Wanted? I'm going to do that all the time. Remember in the movie Wanted, how they knew who the next person they had to assassinate was an anomaly in the stitch, in the weaving of the grand tapestry. They didn't question where the anomaly came from. Did they? They didn't question the anomaly they didn't question where the anomaly came from. All they knew was because this was from a long line of ancients who had established this perfect system, and that whoever's name was implicated in the anomaly, in the web, in the weaving, in the tapestry, right? The weaving, the web was going to communicate to them who was the next that had to be eliminated. Because if he was not eliminated, then his future actions would represent a catastrophe for the greater good. And in order to maintain the balance, the weavers, the assassins. No, they weren't the assassins. The weavers weren't the assassins. The weavers were never revealed. You feel me? They're the white boy, Angelina Jolie, and what's his name? Morgan Freeman. They would be, so the weavers is the great machine. Oh my God. My God. God damn. Hold on. Damn. Hold on. God Yeah, damn food. Let me just tell you. Yeah, damn. Oh, you guys. A hummingbird just flew in my house. Oh, poor little thing. She's like, where I'm at? How can I get out? Oh, y'all, she is in here tripping. Plus, I got so much stuff in here. I know it's. Oh my gosh. Oh, oh, I hope she can get out. She is tripping. She's like, I ain't trying to be up in here with all this stuff. Plus, I got two cats. They freaking out right now. They're like, what is that? Let me go close the doors, make sure she can get out so she don't fly in another room. Hey, little baby. Oh my goodness. It's okay. Oh, little thing. Come on, this way. Come on. Come on. Right here. Come on. Right here. Right here. Oh, come on. Right here. There you go. Come on. You almost had it. Oh, she'll find it. There, she did. Yeah. All right. That was exciting. Yeah. Cute little hummingbird just flew right up in here. That was exciting. Just as I had this crazy ass breakthrough. Um, so what I was saying, let me get back on IG and then I'm gonna close this out. I'm hungry and I'm tired. There's been a lot of crows out here today too. Like a lot. Like it sounds like a chorus of crows just all day since the morning started. It's 2 o'clock now, since early this morning, like 5 o'clock. Just loud. It's like a whole choir of crows right around the apartment complex. It's so cute. Anyway, the breakthrough, child, the moment that I had, the moment that I had was it's one of the things actually that I was going to talk to you about today, hence the name of the live, which was what? Summoning the sleeping fates. That's what I was going to talk to you about. And look at how full circle that whole thing just came around that I was intended to talk to you about 3 hours ago now. You feel me? So I have to save it for another day, but it's still all related. But well, the moment that I just had, and let me write this down in this book that I was actually going to use. Remember I was talking about the Matrix last week and on Mama T's show, and how the Matrix was the mechanized mothers, the mechanized black women of the world who gave birth to all that exists, to all that there are. Well, this breakthrough that I just had was, it was about, like I told you too, I said on Mama T's show that not only have been working on this idea about the mechanization of women's bodies, but that mechanization of women's bodies is the basis behind every movie that is terrorizing people about the future of the robot takeover of the workforce. that you don't have to fear a future of robots taking over your jobs when we have not reconciled the history of the world in general and America in particular, where actual living biological human beings have been turned into robots for the first 400 years of the establishment of the United States of America. Black ass uteruses reduced to faceless, emotionless, nameless, voiceless robots that exist only for the pleasure and service of their owners. You don't have to look to the future of androids, and I believe that is the reason that the whole android thing shows up so much in media and in film, like Janelle Monáe, her first 3 albums were a basically musical opera about her as an android in the future, right? The first movie, the first movie that talks about, it was produced in Germany, that talks about women. As a matter of fact, she was called the Archandroid, right? Was Metropolis, released in 1918, I think, in Germany, where the whole thing was she started out as this, this preacher, this evangelical preacher, trying to whatever. But anyway, they craft her likeness, they clone her, but she's a robot, and all this shit. Okay. But I believe that it is this whole make America great again bullshit is still based on the same story. America was great when the products of its oppression, her natural rebels, Native people, Black people, were silent, quiet, forced into subjugation. The literal wealth producers through labor and labor. The original labor, birth-giving labor, generating wealth in the form of human beings that were literally wealth that could be bought, sold, and traded on the market. They babies could be bought, sold, and traded on the market, or through her physical labor on the plantations. You feel me? And how this is the America that they're talking about making great again, because this future that they're talking about, that they want you to be fearful of, the mechanization of the workforce and how you're going to have to, quote, compete with a robot for a job. The fuck you say? That's trash. That's bullshit. You feel me? An actual robot class could liberate us from the necessity to work. We can have that conversation another day. But they're longing for that period where women didn't say shit, didn't talk back, whatever. This is the machines that they're longing for. This is the AI that they're longing for in the statement, make America great again. And so this moment with Wanted, and this is where I'm going to end, because now my memory, my brain function is getting splotchy because I haven't eaten yet today. But this thing here, so many movies. So I watched this movie. I'm not going to go deep. This is what I wanted to talk to y'all about, but I'm going to have to save it for another day. But it's just becoming clearer and clearer and clearer how many times this idea of the fates, the fates being murdered, the fates being killed. So the because I want my thoughts to flow coherently, and I can't do that right now. I'm tired. But I will say this, that in Wanted, Morgan Freeman, Angelina Jolie, and the white boy. So who's missing from the scenario? The Black female. And if you're just looking at the paradox between white power and, quote, Black power, in this movie, who is missing? The Black female, because you got the Black male, you got the white female, you got the white male, right? And in this relationship, or in this setup, they, as the assassins, right? They, as the assassins, are the Furies. But the loom, the great grand loom that is constantly spinning out this tapestry, just spinning out this tapestry, sending out this tapestry, that the anomaly, because it's a perfect process. And every time there is an anomaly in the stitching, this means somebody got to die. Somebody got to die. And they, as the Furies, don't ask questions about guilt or innocence. They say, our task on the planet is to exercise or execute the will of the fates. Because who is it that are the grand weavers of human destiny, pictured atop the earth as the crone, the maiden, and the mother? It is the fates. And whatever the fates say, whatever the fates casts as a judgment, the Furies don't come and try to bargain with them or be like, but how do we have any evidence of the this and that and such and such? At the juncture that the fates make the declaration, the executioner of the fates' combined will is the Furies. So she say you got to go. We ain't ask why. That ain't our job to ask why. She say you got to go. So we ghosting you. We taking you with us. Feel me? And so here in this movie, where you have, again, another trinity. You have old man Morgan. You feel me? You got Angelina Jolie, who is the middle age, the mother type. And then you have the young white guy that she goes and tells him that he comes from a long line of assassins. They're the trinity. They're the trinity. Morgan Freeman. I can't think because I'm sleepy and tired and hungry. But anyway, the mother, again, is faceless and voiceless in this scenario. The three, as the assassins, they represent the Furies, the executioners of the mother's divine will and judgment. That's what they represent. And once again, just like so many other movies I've been seeing lately, a necessary requirement for the completed transfer of power is to kill the mother. That's what happened. So anyway, so she's disappeared. You can assume that the loom is black and female. That's it. Now I gotta go. I'm hanging on by a thread. This was fun. I could do it more, but I gotta take a power nap, get some sustenance. But this is fun. Thank y'all for rocking with me, and I'll do a live tomorrow, or maybe I can get to these deep dives I've been doing all weekend around the fates, because in Greek mythology, all the gods feared the fates, including Zeus. So she wasn't higher than Zeus. All the planets feared Zeus, and they all feared Zeus. They all feared. All the gods feared the fates, not Zeus. All the gods feared the fates, even Zeus, right? And they were saying, but the other thing that I read just this week, which I will be sharing with y'all later in more depth, was, remember when we talked about the Golden Age and Astera and stuff on Mama T's show? Well, I don't remember what I was going to say. Oh, that I don't remember. I'm fading. I'm gonna go. I'll talk to you about it tomorrow. But it was a breakthrough, and I'm sure it'll come back to me once I get some sugar in my system or something. All right. So I will see you guys tomorrow. It'll probably this is a good kind of turnout. Maybe I should do it around this time tomorrow. We'll see. All right. This is Cassandra-Floyd, also known as the Daughter of the Fates, founder of the Temple of Evolutionary Emergence, and I will see you tomorrow. Okay? Peace. Ooh. Mm. Mm.